Friday, and you know what that means. Time to draft on every best ball site for a shot at 4.5. I can look at this guy can count. $4.5 million, competing for $2 million on Underdog, $2 million on DraftKings, $500K on Drafters. Going to do it all today, hitting every draft, and draft room filled on me, snap filled. So we are starting hot here. So let's get going with me in the 11 hole, a spot where I do like to do a more balanced build, like to get some mix of RBs and wide receivers, but we'll see what we get here. Had a little annoying thing though. So I don't know how this affects our friend Fantasy Dog Pound. You can't use developer mode now with Underdog, which I knew before because it happened on my my Chrome, my laptop on Chrome, where basically I do use the fantasy overlay or the best ball overlay tool. Sorry for misbranding here. Bestballoverlay.com. I think promo code Splash still works on there if you want a promo code to save some money if you want to try a membership. But it's a tool basically that shows you exposures, shows you. I think now they have some player combination stuff. But basic data, kind of like you're getting with the Solver tool, with Bricks Draft Caddy, the Sidekick. I don't know if it gives you exposures. I presume it does. Basically all these tools do the same things. I guess because you can't do it through developer mode, it has to be an actual Chrome product now to work with Underdog. But I noticed this before, I think like maybe a week ago, meant to mention it on the stream. But I don't know. I just noticed it again here on my production laptop here because I use a different one than I use for my normal, browsing and work stuff. And yeah, it sucks if that's the case. I hope that Pat and the Fantasy Dog Pound guys did not, Best Ball Josh, I think is his partner who does all the tech stuff. I hope those guys are not getting boned here because that sucks if you have to do that. Basically the way it works, like some of the Chrome extensions, you have to use developer mode to get it installed. I think Bricks is the same way. The Solver one is through the actual Chrome store, so they would be unaffected, I would think. But I don't know if the Draft Caddy is affected. I don't know. We're coming up here, hopefully fast enough. Of course, 20-second clocks here so we can burn through the Best Ball Mania draft portion of things. And I've gotten a lot of Best Ball Mania drafts in, so I am my exposure is pretty solidified. We can take a quick look at them once the stream wraps or once this draft wraps. We're on the clock here. Do like getting a running back on this quadrant often because I do think RB dries up a little. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is here. Nico's here. I'll go Amon-Ra. Not a brave click, but I figure if this guy takes Derrick Henry, I could have pulled up Devon Achane. He didn't do that anyway. So I'm going to take Derrick Henry here. Again, think that really balancing RB and wide receiver when you're picking in the 11 hole and the 12 hole is an important part of the job because you go on some runs here where it's going to feel like there aren't good players on either side of the board in terms of or other position rather of those top positions we want to get filled up bright and early here. So for me, getting Derrick Henry, always a comfy click around the turn. And frankly, my Derrick Henry exposure would be great if I had the best ball overlay tool to show you guys. Not that I would have had it working for today necessarily, but it's possible. I'm going to try to load here. My exposure's in another tab. So I'm pretty sure I've got a lot of Derrick Henry right now. Shout out the chat. Appreciate seeing guys like Mr. A former top BBM finisher and also a lovely guy to have in the community. Our guy Chunk, our guy Jeff T, always traveling the globe. Glad to see you guys here. I did have to move the start time up because I think I'm going to start on Fridays at 12 o'clock moving forward. Just feel like because of summer Fridays and also like this family stuff, being able to do stuff with Alex, having to make ribs. I think I need to free up a little bit of time towards the end of the day. So everything else should be the same time. My Thursday streams and Tuesday streams. I'm probably at another Wednesday stream on top or maybe a Monday. I don't know. But anyway, for right now, though, the Friday stream, I'm planning to do it 12-ish every Friday. All right, looking at exposures at the same time. BBM only. Here's some of my exposures. We can look through them real fast. QB, Bryce Young, my top guy right now, 23%. Cam Ward, number 2, 23%. Kyler Murray, 16, 2x the field on him. Obviously get a lot of Tre McBride. Some Marvin Harrison, not as much. Probably need to correct that a little bit in the back half of drafts. Geno Smith, 14%. Fields, 14%. Penix, 14. I got to say, Jayden Daniels, under the average here, 7.1%. Obviously, the field's going to be at 8% and change overall. So I need to go out of my way to get Jayden in the back half if I want to be above the field on him. And I do, conceptually. It's not really there. At RB, and I'm keeping an eye on my Underdog board as well. I need to move that over here because would not work for you before the show. All right. Got a few picks. RB right now, Tyjae Spears, 27% in BBM. Marshawn Lloyd, 23. We are back in the Marshawn Lloyd train. He is totally healthy now, apparently. Spent time in the offseason getting his soft tissue looked at. Basically the kind of thing they tried to do with Christian Watson before he tore his ACL. But trying to make it so he won't have the reoccurring injuries that happen. Because sometimes it happens because you have one leg being stronger than the other. A misbalance and alignment kind of thing, basically. So for Marshawn Lloyd, apparently he's done that work. He's feeling really confident. Really like the coach speak around Marshawn Lloyd. So unfortunately, after he killed me last year, I'm going to go right back to the well this year. Justice Hill, probably taking too much of him, but I have 21%. DeAndre Swift, 21%. For Justice Hill, I wouldn't think it's an ambiguous backfield. I think it is one where he's going to be your backup and your third down back, your pass protection, your long down back. Derrick Henry will get most of the work there. But Keaton Mitchell, another year removed from the ACL, they could work some more gadget plays for him. I should take more Keaton Mitchell with how much Justice Hill I have because I don't want to be crazy overexposed on Justice Hill. We're on the clock here, though. 2 picks around the bend. We got this guy in between. I do like Kyren Williams here, and I'm kind of happy with getting any of these guys at receiver. So I'm going to load up more at RB, go Kyren Williams. In balanced builds, my theme of 2024, still want to get enough receiver capital in. I still want to build better teams than the guys who are spamming RB early, a little bit too many of them. But there's a lot of times in rooms where I am leaving with 2 RBs in the top 3 rounds. Sometimes, more so like top 5 rounds. But Derrick Henry and Kyren, I think, going to be a common combo for me. We'll see if that's good or bad. Tet McMillan here. I feel good about him as a click. Jayden Daniels. If I do want to get more, this is the time to do it. Let's do it. It's Friday. Jayden Daniels. I can't be under the field on Jayden Daniels. I made Jayden Daniels. Everybody else is saying Drake Maye, Drake Maye, ooh, Drake Maye. No, it's Jayden Daniels season again here. Even have to take him at pick 38. I was in a draft this morning, actually, while working out. Some guy reached for Bucky Irving, took him at pick 13. The same guy reached for Jayden Daniels, took him at pick I think it was 36 or something, maybe 35. It took him like a little bit earlier. Couldn't get my guys in that draft at all. That draft for me, just couldn't find my footing in it. It was really like, this guy's really coming for my beloveds here, but they're expensive. Jayden's expensive, man. Pretty slow news period. That is the case right now. Taking the foot off the gas for another week or so. For me, I'll be on vacation that first or last week of June, first week of July. I'll still be doing some drafts, so I'll be here doing content. I realized last year I kind of like doing streams while on vacation because it breaks up the day a little bit. Also gives me an excuse to not do some of the laborious things that I don't enjoy. So it balances out pretty well for me. And I still get paid for things, so that's a positive too. So planning to bring my stuff down to Florida for when we're gone for a week. And I'm going to do the usual draft cycle there. But basically, during that period, I agree there's not a whole lot news-wise. We are now in a dull period. I mentioned a lot on stream lately, in particular the DraftKings drafted on Stochastic yesterday. The drafter stream, I did the 420 draft. Check it out. It's always a fun time on there if you're not regularly drafting on drafters. But basically did that draft as well yesterday and those streams yesterday. And like the thing that I will observe, and I think it's something that will be true of every platform, is people just start to mix things up ADP wise because they get bored. They don't want to take, whatever. I'm trying to think of a player who goes all the time. They don't want to take Bucky at 23. They want to get him at 13. They don't want to take Rashee Rice at 25. They want to start to reach for him, get him at 19 here. It's just because people are bored. There's no news reason to do it, really. I guess for Rashee Rice, the full health thing is a positive. But you're seeing people reach here. Calvin Ridley, I like him a lot. Reaching for him at 49. This guy's reaching for Pickens. He's at the turn, so it's a little bit different. But this is the time of year where people just kind of start doing weird shit. And sometimes you'll end up with good ADP values, I think, in rooms now more than you have so far. Because I have not felt like this is a really value-heavy draft cycle so far. And I've drafted every tournament. I've drafted a lot of slow schnauzers. Which sounds stupid. It's a stupid sentence to say out loud. I've drafted a lot of slow schnauzers. But I have done those. I see some value there, but usually not crazy value. BBMs, I feel like I'm hardly seeing value at all, and I'm over 50 drafts in. DraftKings, you still get a little bit, but not as much in previous years. Drafters sometimes, but I don't know, at least in the rooms that we have here on stream, for the most part, not really getting a ton of value there. So I really think that this period might be a time to build some more unique teams because if people they're bored. They've been doing drafts for fucking 2 months, so they just want to do something different. And there's really no reason for them to take player X suddenly earlier, besides they just want to do something different. Anyway, that's an overall observation. I think Jeff on the right track from what he was saying. 1210 here. I think Romo Dunze here would be a nice click for me. I do take him a good amount. Juwan Jennings, I feel like another player. I would like to leave with both. We'll see what Hugo does here on the turn, but I'll go Dunze first. Addison would correlate with Detroit if I wanted to go that direction. So I've got outs here. If I get Jennings, great. If I get Addison, great. We'll see what this guy does. He needs some more RB capital. I think for him, we got Nico, Brian Thomas, Mike Evans. I think a James Conner might be nice for him. There goes Travion. I'd go Conner. All right. We got Amon-Ra Odunze with Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Jayden Daniels. Could go reach for Deebo, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go Jennings. I just think Jennings comes up over the course of the summer. The fact that Ayuk's going to be on the PUP list, I mean, that has not been, I mean, it's been reported. It's not going to be official until we get into August and you know he's going to miss those first 4 games. But I have to assume for Jennings, I mean, I've seen him go at least 50 in rooms, if not high 40s. I think for Jennings, he's due for a rise in ADP, so I'm going to keep scooping him up whenever I get him in the 60s. But Chicago, San Francisco, week 17 correlation here. No Washington, Dallas stuff. Pickens went pretty early here. No Rams, Atlanta yet. Didn't get Detroit, Minnesota because we passed on Addison. Addison, we've talked about it a few times on stream, but if you're just catching up, I know a lot of people start to tune into my streams at random times throughout the summer because they're getting back to the best ball mindset, trying to catch up and all that. So if I mention things you already know or that we've talked about, just bear with me on that stuff. It's not all my weed-addled brain. It is, in fact, just trying to repeat things for different people that don't watch every stream. But Addison likely to get suspended your first 3 games of the year is what it's looking like now. His court date, I think, is in July. So he's going to, everything's going to be materialized for him. Rashee Rice, no progress in the Dallas case, and he's healthy. So for him, his ADP coming up makes sense. For Addison, I think once you officially get the suspension, he probably comes down a little bit, even though, his value to you as a drafter, again, playing for week 17 like we're supposed to do. You're not going to care as much about Addison, taking him in 60s, taking him in the 70s. There will be a buying period for Addison, I think, where he could fall behind, at the very least, this Jerry Jeudy tier. And if you gave me the choice between Addison and Jerry Jeudy, I would happily go Addison repeatedly. And Jeff say, Jeff, I didn't even see the chat, but Jeff's saying the same thing. Yeah, Addison probably going to drop a little bit. I will say the markets have kind of been locked in for the most part with letting guys kind of get naturally to where they're supposed to be for these potential news items. Like Brandon Ayuk was always a little bit low. You're behind Ricky Pearsall, behind Juwan Jennings by a decent clip, way behind George Kittle. And now Ayuk, it's like, all right, he's going even a little bit lower, but he's kind of been appropriately priced throughout for the fact that he was likely going to miss, not going to be there week 1 at the least. So I think the markets have been better with injury stuff this year, at least, Underdog especially. Underdog, it feels like the pricing is very correct on a bunch of stuff. This room is reaching like crazy. Aaron Jones, this guy's reaching for everything. Aaron Jones, Pacheco, this guy reaching for Swift. I like Swift. Got reaching for Caleb Johnson and Judkins here a little. So weird. Glad I got my 2 early RBs because the room is like starving at RB for some reason. Guess I took 2. This guy took 2. It doesn't feel like a crazy RB room. I guess a couple guys took 3 up top, so maybe that's throwing it off. But like Tony Pollard at 76, I don't think you see that often anymore. 49ers offense should be pretty good. Still like Jennings there. I mean, I think the offense should be pretty good. I also think the defense should be worse this year. Just feel like they're a team going more towards the Cincinnati direction where they're not elite on that side of the ball anymore. Offensively, though, you have to make up for it. We'll see what happens. I think Shanahan's still a good coach and all that. And Clay Kubiak designing some plays, whatever that role means to be the Niners offensive coordinator. We'll see what he does. But I think overall, they're just not going to use McCaffrey the way that people want. I'm still happy to take McCaffrey at ADP. But if I had to guess, you're going to see a lot of passing again. And Jennings, him getting to the 30% target per out run last year, for him to be able to do that as a guy that was basically being cast to the scrap heap with Pearsall coming in, I think is a pretty noteworthy success for him. We got Jayden Reed here, who's not one of my favorite clicks, but he does correlate with Derrick Henry. Sometimes you just got to get a little bit different, I think. So Jayden Reed, I don't like you, but you are coming on the squad here. So a little bit of value there. This guy goes Tampa Bay with Mayfield and Igbuka. We've got value on Shakir for a little. Diggs wanted to reach up at QB. You know what? I'm going to get an elite-ish tight end. I'm going to go Hawkinson here. Really receiver for me, Shakir. I'm just not crazy about in half-point PPR. Diggs, one of my least favorite players this summer, as you guys probably know if you watch streams, not because of the pink drugs and the models, like cool, more power to him. But I just don't believe in New England's offense. I don't believe in there being a target hunter I really like besides maybe Pop Douglas at ADP. I think it's going to be a regressive offense, much like Tennessee's offenses were. I'm just not sold on that team being anything useful offensively. But Diggs, I just don't want to pay that price tag. Ayuk, talked enough about, could have made the case to take him here with our Niners bet. I just really don't like him at ADP right now. Downs, I don't mind, but I do think he gets eaten into a little bit by Tyler Warren being a guy that's seeming like they're going to target a lot already. He's with the first team getting good amounts of targets with Daniel Jones so far. I think it's going to continue to tick upwards. Though Josh Downs was great last year, so that's there. But point being, I think tight end, we're definitely a little bit of a tier break to me, so I'll take Hawkinson here at 86. Mr. saying I'm way underexposed to Henderson and Judkins. Is that going to bite me? So my exposures again. Let's go back to here because we got a few picks. Judkins, I'm at 7%, so I'm not that far under. Travion, there we go. 3.6% on Travion. Travion's the one I really find hard to believe gets to a bell cow roll. So I'm cool with being lower on him. I think the price can come down through the course of the summer. If he becomes James White, he's probably more valuable on DraftKings anyway than he is on a half-point PPR site. If he becomes James White, like that's probably a decent click at his ADP. But I'm not too worried being low on those guys. I do think if we get better camp reports, I'll be there more. If Jerome Ford gets shipped out of Cleveland, like some of the beat reporters have suggested, I'll feel better. But about Judkins, but I don't know. Judkins to me played well in the college football playoff. Besides that, he was an okay runner, not a high avoided tackle rate guy. Just doesn't fit the criteria of what I'm looking for. Plus EPA rusher, which is good. And played legit competition at Ohio State. But to me, I think there's two special talents in this draft. One of them is Jeanty. One of them is Omarion Hampton. Everybody else was guys that kind of people talked up a lot. Guys have good athletic profiles for sure. But I'm just not sold on any of them being game changers. Caleb Johnson, I think, really got one of the better situations. Cam Skattebo maybe as well. My receiver exposures for BBM, Josh Palmer, 27%. I've mentioned it a bunch. I took him when he was cheaper. I've still take him at ADP now. I think he's a nice click because I think he does very similar things to Khalil Shakir at a much cheaper price. And he did get paid that Mooney money, and being more aware of contract money is something I've been trying to be mindful of because it really helped last year with identifying some guys like Mooney. Rashad Bateman got paid again. I'm getting 23% of him. Same thing for Mooney. Alec Pierce, I think is too cheap as the only, A.D. Mitchell does a similar thing. I guess he could eat into him, but I thought Pierce was really good last year for a Colts team that sucked. So kind of happy to get Alec Pierce. A few more picks before me, so I'll just kind of run through these. Tet, Neighbors, Odunze, all guys I like, young guys on the upswing. Neighbors in particular, I think, could potentially be a guy that gives you a Tyreek kind of year. And my tight ends, Tre McBride, 23%, big stand on him. I take him whenever he's available, basically. And I'm at those spots. Chickaconquo, not before ADP, though. Chickaconquo, part of the Cam Ward rising, hopefully. Gunnar Helm could fuck things up for him, but I thought Chig was really great on the stretch last year. Bretton Strange, 18% for me. Brock Bowers, 16. So the young tight ends who've already put up monster years, I'm heavy on them improving in year 2. Or for McBride, I guess it would be year 3 or 4. Kyle Pitts, he's too cheap, I think. Andrews, same thing. Likely I'm still getting him. So I feel good about my exposures. I think, again, I'm like a third of the way through my BBM drafting. I plan to have a little bit of a ramp down besides content stuff in the early part of July. But I feel like I'm building some nice teams. Again, feel really good across the board with the balance I've had for stuff. We've got a 1-2-4-1 build here. A little bit of value on Skattebo, but not enough. I'm just going to I got to stop taking Bateman at some point. If I got Shaheed in, okay, I didn't. I got to take more Shaheed. I got to, I think, vary this range a little bit better because I do take Bateman all the time. I just think Bateman's a tremendous click right here. So that's really my big issue. Bateman to me was a guy that I really wanted to be good coming out of Minnesota. He flashed some quality things, some decent target earning, decent efficiency, but it wasn't enough. Then Zay Flowers came in, lapped him. I think he really settled into a nice role. Hopkins is going to take some touchdown equity away. We have a 1-2-5-1 here. I think we got to go RB. I get Skattebo because he's fallen in these rooms. I'll keep doing it. If there is going to be a Bucky Irving in this class in terms of a guy who fits that criteria for me that made Bucky Irving a special player that I died on the hill of, was willing to die on the hill of last year. Obviously, I thrived on the hill instead of dying on it last year, at least for him. For Skattebo, high avoided tackle rate guy, high EPA player, good versus an 8-man box. So he fits all the things that I'm looking for the most part, which is guys that can kind of earn, opportunities through their efficiency in a bunch of different ways. Skattebo last year, 31% avoided tackle rate, 0.17 EPA per rush. You're talking about the highest avoided tackle rate in the class besides Jeanty and Bashal Tutin as well. So I'll give Bashal Tutin his flowers. But efficiency's there. In the past game, Skattebo, a 0.5 EPA per target, 23% target per out run. He was good there, 38% avoided tackle rate. Versus an 8-man box, he got 4 opportunities a game, 0.38 EPA per rush there. 5.1 red zone rushes a game, so he earned volume. I don't know that red zone volume is predictive in college of pro volume, but in general, college volume is predictive of, your pro volume. So I'm cool with everything with Skattebo. The big issue is he has to overcome Tyrone Tracy, who I think was good enough last year, wasn't elite enough to hold off Skattebo, would be my guess. But Tyrone Tracy last year, negative 0.1 EPA per rush, negative 0.06 EPA per pass. So under average there. It's fine if you don't have anybody threatening you. If you're solidified in your role and you're Tyrone Tracy, like you're okay. But if Skattebo is going to come in and be good and press and practice like an efficient player should, I think Tracy's displaceable. But a 16% avoided tackle rate, it's not bad. 22% target per out run, it's not bad. Tracy's not bad either. I think you can take both. I think they're one team where you're not going to want to take both too often, and price tag wise, it often doesn't align for it. But I think there's a world where Skattebo and Tracy just end up in a pretty fun little timeshare where both backs have utility, both backs are fun to play, and one back who's the hot hand does a little bit better. And I would think Skattebo is the better back over the course of time, but yeah, who knows? Catching up on chats here. What's my take on Travis Etienne? He historically fucked me over, but now he's getting good talk at camp. I've liked Etienne this entire time. I know he wasn't my highest exposed guys on the screen, but I am at 9% of him. I do mix up the Jags backs, take some Bigsby as well. But I like Etienne. I think he's gotten, as you mentioned, the good coach speak. I think for Etienne as well, he is a player that we know came in theoretically having some bona fides. He hasn't hit his ceiling, which I think, is a little bit worrisome because at this age, he should have probably hit a true ceiling outcome at some point. But, I think he's a good click. I think he's the same click functionally as Tutin is, as Bigsby is, because when we get to the season, we'll see who actually keeps that trust. But I think for right now, he's a good click. He shouldn't come up more than he is right now. Those guys, it's an ambiguous backfield. You want to have like a split backfield for that. Or we need to think about QB2 here because I really thought we were going to get we thought we were going to get Jordan Love back was it. Because I don't get a ton of Jordan Love. And Jordan Love falls so often in rooms except when I want to take him. But we had the Jayden Reed bet. I thought Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft would have been a nice pairing. We're not going to get there now. All right. Don't want to come all the way up at QB either. I could take a Ray Davis share here. He got decent work last year, even with James Cook being good. James Cook, with his contract stuff, maybe they mute his role a little bit more to prepare for the inevitability of him trying to get paid big money when he actually has leverage. So that'd be my case. I'm going to make one for Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis's ADP is a little bit too high at 134. As a contingent value play, for sure. Like, he would crush if he got James Cook's workload. But you still have Ty Johnson there. They like to use him in specific packages. They like to use him for passing stuff, not even, passing stuff like third and long. They use him for passing stuff at the goal line in the red zone. But I think Ray Davis, an okay click. Dobbins is probably a better click, honestly. Etienne's so hard not to click if he's past ADP. I think that's fair. Be over the field on all Jags, even getting 2 on the same squad. I think that's also fair. Let's see. 180p riser, I presume. That makes no sense. Keon Coleman reports that he was struggling in minicamp and did nothing as a rookie. He's risen 2 rounds as BBM open. I've seen him fall in rooms a lot lately, so I'm not sure about the overall ADP picture. I think he's moved up. I guess he was in the teens, and now he's at like 105-ish. Where'd he go here? 102 here. I still like Keon Coleman with what he represents. As I mentioned when he was coming out last year, his numbers didn't wow me coming out of FSU. He wasn't that efficient. He seemed like a good red zone target. I thought he'd actually be better at that in his rookie year, and he wasn't. But he's really the only guy for the Bills that does a specific thing that you do need in the NFL, which is kind of being a go up and get it kind of guy, a big body target that could theoretically like box somebody out to get the ball in the end zone. So I think for him, I think there's still a lot of utility because he's not the same player as Khalil Shakir, as Josh Palmer, as Elijah Moore, as even as Dalton Kincaid is. Like, Dalton Kincaid should be able to get some red zone, end zone targets. But he really does play more like a small slot, even though he's got the size to be more than that. So Keon Coleman, I think, just does a specific kind of job that you need as a team. So, like, I like him conceptually, but I agree in terms of play, he's earned no trust, really. Tyjae Spears goes at 123 here, which I think is a fair price tag for him. He's one of my highest exposed guys. He should be up. He should be up in the 100s, in my opinion. He's got a shot to be this year's Chase Brown. Like, and it's not, not the most likely outcome. But I think, and Cincinnati thing there with Callahan coming over from the Bengals. I'm not trying to make it exactly 1-to-1, but I think for him, Tony Pollard, a guy who feels displaceable but got pretty good volume. Spears, we saw be a top projected back in the league, also a top playoff scorer last year, even though he got concussed in one of the games. So I think for me, like, I like Tyjae Spears a lot, but he's been too cheap. If he's going to go in the 120s, that's looking better. If he's going around ahead of Javonte, I think that'd be a more logical thing to me. We've got a 1-4-5-2 here. Need to think about the QB end game at some point here. And I think we're going to think about it right now. We're going to take Bryce Young to bail me out here. We got different bye weeks. Bryce Young, you saw one of my highest exposed guys. He and Cam Ward are my official break in case of emergency QBs. Two guys who I think are nicely valued right now for what they can do. Bryce Young should be running more this year, should be more efficient this year. I like what I saw from Bryce Young down the stretch. The numbers don't bear it out over the course of the entire season because he opened last year so poorly. And that spooks me a little bit, the fact that, like, he did open last year like one of the worst QBs you'll ever grade out. But you got to take the shot again, I think. We got a little bit of a bet on Chicago and the Niners. And I like Roschon Johnson, want to get more of him. I'm heavy on Swift, but Roschon has a good shot to be that sledgehammer goal line back. So I'll take him for the shot of touchdown equity. Obviously, this room's going to be carried by Derrick Henry and Kyron Williams, but want to make sure to get to our 5 running backs of some quality. So a 2-5-5-2 build right now. We got Jayden Daniels, Bryce Young at RB, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Cam Skattebo, a little bit of value on him. Ray Davis right at ADP, Roschon a little bit ahead of it. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the receiver room kickoff. Romo Dunze, Juwan Jennings. Jaden Reed, who I got him as a little bit of value here. Really wouldn't have wanted to take him if I didn't think I was going to, I didn't think it was going to be possible to get Jordan Love. I want to get more Jordan Love exposure, and I thought this would be a day where I could get Baltimore stuff, get some good Green Bay stack around it. But the Jordan Love guy went early to, I don't even know if the Jordan Love guy had another receiver. Jordan Love went pretty early, didn't get him. We got Rashad Bateman, still have the Green Bay Baltimore correlation anyway. And at tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Warren. Warren, I think, encouraging for me that he probably gets Daniel Jones for at least the majority of the year. With AR, I think there's no shot for him to get the target volume that you need. With Daniel Jones, I think you might see the best. This is a take. I think you might see the best year of Daniel Jones' career. I think we got a shot at it. He got to spend some time learning last year. He wasn't awful as a Giants QB. They just squeezed him out because they didn't want the injury guarantees. And he's got the runway now to actually win this job and for the Colts to be a team that, maybe breaks out a little bit, that does something good for themselves, and then stays hot, maybe is in the playoff hunt even if they don't actually make the playoffs. I think this could be a good year for Daniel Jones. I still don't want to take him a bunch because, I think AR could just as easily start half the year, if not the entire fantasy playoffs when you need it. And I still don't think Pittman's a good click no matter what, because I think he's overvalued compared to Josh Downs and Warren coming in. But I think Daniel Jones, I think he's going to have some usable weeks. I don't know. But I still don't take him, so that's that. Richard asking, am I crazy for drafting Ty Johnson on Josh Allen teams, especially on DK in a 20-round draft? No. If you need that 6th RB, 7th RB, I would say for him, feels about right. But he could score touchdowns. I'm happy with that. Been saying since March, Spags, regarding dimes and this new team/system. Yeah, look, I think it's it. I think the AR thing is still a barrier, and AR is supposedly going to be healthy for camp. And really, it comes down to ownership there, where the Irsay daughters coming in after Jim Irsay passed away have spoken the right things about, trying to get AR developed, seeing him as the future of the franchise. It's going to be hard, I think, for Daniel Jones to start the entire year. But if the Colts are winning games in a South that I think is pretty winnable, I don't know. I think for them, or I think they could be in the hunt very easily. So for Daniel Jones, it's his best shot, I think, to salvage his career. I think he picked the right spot. And I think, too, again, having a little bit of time in that Vikings organization, they wanted him back, too. Like, so he clearly showed enough. I think mostly a good thing for how that looks. All right, we're on the clock here. I think we're going to be able, this guy times out on Zach Ertz. I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. Yeah, we don't tilt on stream anymore because people get too worked up about it. All right. Pop Douglas, I was hoping to get on the way back. That's fine. Zach Ertz for tight end 3 feels pretty good. Our lone correlation with Jayden Daniels right now. Maybe a Luke McCaffrey team. Luke McCaffrey, some vague camp buzz, and he would be your pivot to Deebo Samuel, I guess, if Deebo were to die. Then Luke McCaffrey maybe gets those scheme touches that are going to come up with him. But I'll take Zach Ertz happily. That's how I feel about that. We got Rico Dowdle, Nick Chubb here. I do think this is a receiver spot. I would like a little bit of a receiver bailout here, and I do think there's still one guy that fits that criteria. Keenan Allen can go somewhere and be legit. I think Diami Brown, not a bad click. Michael Wilson, I'm not taking unless he's stacked up. But Keenan Allen going to Pittsburgh and being the slot that displaces Calvin Austin would be huge for him. Keenan Allen going to anywhere that has an injured star that needs to fill targets. Keenan Allen can step in there. It is worrisome that he's not signed yet, but that's why he's going in the 16th round. What he represents right now is like what I think people wanted Will Fuller to be a couple of years ago, except that Keenan Allen is still an active football player, and he was the best receiver in Chicago last year, even though you want to la it. And again, give excuses. Like, I like Rome Odunze too. I like DJ Moore too. I do think Keenan Allen was unequivocally the best receiver in terms of target earning, EPA, touchdown equity, all that. Keenan Allen's going to get a job somewhere. So that's that. Did we ever get Noah Brown news? No, he was going to have the MRI, and that was all I heard. Somebody in the chat might know more. Let's see. Still some risk of Daniel Jones benching or not playing, but the injury alone plus the work ethic issues makes it better than not for Daniel Jones. I agree. Daniel Jones too cheap. If his rushing upside just wouldn't go crazy. I think that's a fair way to put it. AFC South has a lot of shootouts potentially. I mean, you think about Jacksonville and this new offense and a defense that's probably not very good. Indianapolis, I think, going to get better on the defensive side again. The offense, I think, will be a little more conservative, but they've got weapons, so they can hang in games. Houston could go either way. Bringing in a passing game coordinator as your OC is a positive for them, but still a team that I do expect to bring some more running to the potentially here. Nico Collins, if he goes nuts, great. They lose some explosiveness with Tank Dell on paper unless they use Jalen Noel but we'll see with Houston. I think they can go either way in terms of being an offensive team or a defense kind of team. Who's the fourth? Oh, the Titans. Titans, I do think have shootout potential. I think that team is going to be obviously one of my big Cam Ward defenses has been that I think this year with Callahan is going to be a good year under them. I thought we had bones of a good offense there last year, and we saw flashes of it when Mason Rudolph took over as QB. But even with the Mason Rudolph, run plus Will Levis being dog shit, guys like Calvin Ridley still had a decent year. So I think Cam Ward, what he did at Miami, I mean, we've seen how his guys got drafted. Arroyo went pretty early, but he's going to be raw. He's not going to be ready to play year one. Restrepo couldn't get on a team. There's nobody else there who's like some world beater that he had. I think he's got good weapons in Tennessee potentially. Ayumanor is a good athlete, even if he's not a good performer in college. So I like Tennessee a lot. So yeah, I can get with the AFC South being your shootout division potentially. I think the Colts though do play more of a pace down kind of team. That'd be my guess. John Kima, Noah Brown's injury. I don't believe it's anything serious. Okay, there we go. So I figured if anybody would know, it'd be Tyler. But Noah Brown, I still think Noah Brown's going to have a tough time in that room. You've got too many bodies there at this point. And adding Deebo in, it's like, to me, if you're not getting McLaurin or Deebo or Ertz, that's it. I just the way that offense ran last year. And I say this again is like the internet's number one Commanders fan. Like I watched every game last year because I had so much riding on Jayden. And also it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. Really thought the Commanders were a much more fun team than I thought with Cliff Kingsbury at the helm, especially in the beginning parts of the year that were pretty frustrating. This is a team where I know where the touches are going to go for Deebo. He's going to have a lot of easy red zone opportunities for himself, screen things, slants that were there for McLaurin before. And hopefully McLaurin converts more of those deep bombs. There's not a whole lot left on the table at that point. Like last year, you didn't have a true target earner at number 2. Deebo could be washed. So maybe that's where Noah Brown has utility. But I don't know. See, Tyler's got a Noah Brown take. I'll read that in a moment here. We got a 2563. I mean, I do think Justice Hill works okay. with this build. We've already got 3 tight ends, so I'm not going to put on Jatavian Sanders. It's not my favorite spot in the world, but I'll go Justice Hill. I feel like the receiver room is okay enough. Like, I'm not crazy about Jayden Reed, but if he hits, he's a viable 4. Rome Odunze, I think, is going to be good. Amon-Ra probably lose a little bit to Jameson Williams this year, but he should still be mostly the same guy. Keenan Allen can give us something if he does eventually have a job. Dontavian Wicks, a late bailout. I can do that. We've got this Baltimore Green Bay bet without the QBs. We'll take Wicks as well. So final team here on Underdog. We're going to hit DraftKings coming up next. 2-6-7-3 build with Jayden Daniels, Bryce Young at QB. So feeling okay about that. Bryce Young, not very correlated, but I don't really care about it. I'm actually not sold that his receivers have a ton of upside besides Tet. So Thielen spiked before. I could have tried to get him, but I didn't. At RB, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams. So we got our early RB capital. Again, out of that 11, 12 spot. I think balancing your wide receivers and RB early is a good move because it does dry up a little bit at certain parts of the board. Cam Skattebo, I think, speaks to that as my RB3. Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson, Justice Hill. So both Baltimore backs, my logic would be that Derrick Henry and Justice Hill score in very different ways. And usually if Henry is failing, there's a better shot Hill can get going. I should start taking Keaton Mitchell. Maybe this was a day to do it, but I didn't. A receiver, Amon-Ra, Rome Odunze, Juwan Jennings, Jayden Reed, Rashad Bateman, Keenan Allen here. So we starved our wide receiver for a little bit after Bateman. Maybe could have gotten one more in the middle to make the seam better. And Dontavian Wicks. And a tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Warren, Zach Ertz. That's a really strong tight end room. This is what people, I think, who take late tight ends think their 3 tight end rooms look like. This is one where I think Hawkinson is close enough to an elite. That's probably a little bit too much tight end capital. That room pops for me. I think that's 3 guys who are going to be locked into pretty good roles, assuming Ertz doesn't turn into dust this year. But next stage of the draft cycle, let's go over to Underdog. You guys have seen my Underdog stuff, or let's whatever. How did I say that? Let's go over to DraftKings. You've seen my Underdog stuff. That's the way I meant to say it. But DraftKings, I've also put in about 20 drafts so far, all of which have been on stream, either here on Stochastic. So we'll hop in here. I don't know how many people are going to be in the room, so you'll find out live with me or / in a slight delay. 3 spots available. I'm sure that my draft stalker will make it in this room because he seems to faster than anybody else in the biz. But we'll get going here on DraftKings. And again, the video says $4.5 million. That is correct because here, this is another $2 million tournament. So on Underdog, first place is $2 million. On DraftKings, $2 million. On Drafters, the last stop, if you want to draft with me, the third draft we do here, promo code SPLASH at drafters.com, download the Drafters app. That's all available for you. Of course, this fucking guy. Fifth spot. I've never had somebody who I don't want to watch my streams more, who has to watch every stream and be featured. To the point where I've thought about, like, should I just block the usernames in every draft room? Because maybe that'll make people not mad at me. But I don't want to punish you guys who actually like seeing your names on here under normal people. But my God, man, get a life. Please. Anyway, the parasocialness continues on even for people I actively don't want to be my friend. One of Lucas' things as a toddler now is telling people, like, I'm not your friend. Like, if you do something that he doesn't like, I'm saying it to the fucking guy in the 5-hole. I'm not your friend. Please leave me alone. We'll see what we get on DraftKings here. For DraftKings, for me, I honestly feel like I've been enjoying my Underdog builds more, which surprises me a little bit. My Drafters builds have been popping a lot lately. So I would say for DraftKings right now, I feel like this is my weakest platform, but I feel like my portfolio of teams, I like the least on DraftKings. But who knows? We'll see what we get in the 2-hole here. Probably a Saquon start, be my guess. Jamar Chase falls. Happy to do that too. But shout out to all you guys who aren't the guy in the 5-hole who are watching this video. Please do hit that like button. Please subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. Just one guy just showing you my gambling on stream. It's all the content I do is just talking about my gambling and how I'm approaching things. Do you think I'm going to try to rally for a Game 7 video on the Splash Play Bets channel for the finals? Because need one more shot to make money off the NBA. And fucking it was not last night. I didn't have the Pacers win by 30 on the board personally, but the Thunder is such assholes. Really, my least favorite good team in the world. And yes, Rod, I'm not going to pull up your chat because we don't need to do it anymore. But yeah, it's fucking insane. This has been going on for multiple years. And it's like, I don't get it. I don't get how you could be this mentally ill. But that's me. Serious question. Do you think the double the rake back rewards is justifiable to draft all 150 on Drafters for June 30th? For you, Nolan, for a guy like you who wants to like grind the EV and is like very good at it, yes. For most people, I'd say probably not. That's too many drafts to get done in 10 days. You would go nuts. But you know, you could slow draft too, I presume. So you could do that. I'm just gonna go Saquon here. We'll get the RB out of the way. I think it's very easy to get another RB in the second round, still feel good about the team. Very easy to also start picking off receivers and tight ends in the second round. So I'm cool with getting Saquon as the first pick off the board here. But yeah, I would say like if you are going to draft on all the platforms and you're cool getting your drafters 150 out of the way and getting extra rake back, the extra rake back is always going to be worth it. You lose some EV, but you probably want to be drafting more on Underdog and DraftKings anyway over the summer. So if you're going to do all those sites and put in a ton of entries, and and you want to fucking lock in and get another 100+ entries in on drafters, you can do that. But yes, Tyler's correct. You're sacrificing a lot of late edge, but like if you're just not like, if you just want to get all the entries in on all the sites and you have to have some kind of give back somewhere, I think getting extra rake back and just getting them done, not a bad idea. And part of my logic for getting, more underdog drafts done this year in the beginning part was number one, I'm just getting rid of promo credits. Number two is just to be real about it. Number two is like I also just wanted to bounce it out so I have more time to do DraftKings with drafters if I have the bankroll and the willpower or the desire to get closer to maxing those tournaments. So I wanted to kind of stagger it, barbell it a little bit more, I guess would be the better way to say it. For me, like I think that it just comes down to personal preference and how your sanity is cramming a lot of drafts in. Slow drafting is a godsend. If you're trying to get volume up, I will say that because like there's no chance I would be 20 maxing all these Schnauzer tournaments that come up unless it were slow drafts. Because like slow drafts I could just do easily like over the course of a couple days, even doing 20 at a time. I've been really enjoying slow drafts, but I wouldn't care about that if I were a casual player or if I just myself trying to enjoy my time. I think slow drafts are the most fun. But if we're just trying to get volume in, slow draft the hell out of things. Shout out to all you guys hanging out. Do appreciate it on this fine Friday. Hope you all are having a good summer day for yourselves. It's hot here. It is sunny here. It was a gross fucking storm yesterday. Actually, kind of cool looking storm. But like sideways winds, ton of torrential rain yesterday in this outside the Philly area, which I presume was just a regional thing here. It was really a fucking crazy storm last night. So hopefully it wasn't worse somewhere else out there. We had like a ton of branches in the backyard. It's one of those things I never knew was a thing. Picking up brush. Fucking, stupid. I've done more slows this year. So sounds like you're hooking up at the, I'm not going to say the rest of the sentence, but I've done more slows this year. Ever been enjoying them also. I think they're nice. I think they keep your sanity a little bit more than trying to get in a shitload of drafts in a fast clock. And I love, again, I've said enough times here for as much as I want to critique Underdog, and I think a lot of things they've slacked on. 20-second clock is just perfect. Like that, getting drafts to a half hour is like a dream for me. Even those slowest ones were like 35 minutes. But that plus some slow drafts, like I feel invigorated a little bit more by the drafting lately because of that. Bucky here, a great pick. The one issue is that he and Saquon are both week 9 buys. Rashee Rice, I think, is coming up, and I'm cool taking Rashee Rice here. I'm not a crazy Rashee Rice guy. I like Bucky. I've got enough Saquon Bucky so far. I'm sure I'll get more. For right now, though, I will take Rashee Rice over Bucky, and Bucky comes back anyway, so I thought there was a chance of that as well, and we'll get Saquon Bucky anyway. There we go. We got Rashee Rice. We got Saquon Bucky. Again, 2 week 9 buys, not great, but you're telling me I probably have one of the better RB projected rooms you'll have here. Who would project better week to week? Bijan and Jonathan Taylor would project better. That's it. These guys aren't going to be quite like 18-point projection guys at this point of the board. Once you get to the James Cook tier, projections falling off. Even the Breece Hall tier, I would think. So I don't know. I feel good about that pairing still. I'll lose week 9. I can live with that. I'm glad you just. It took a minute. It did take a minute. Well, if you're doing too many slows, maybe they rub off on you. Been loving the robust start on Underdog. 3 through the first 3 in an elite QB feels nice to me this year. Love skipping a wide receiver through. It's not the move for me, C-Slave. I think you got to balance that better. I think 3 RBs is a little bit aggressive. You can do just as well with 2 RBs. You've got your starting lineup there. Have receivers that actually have upside. I'm not the biggest Rashee Rice guy in the world. Like I would love if this player were Drake London. I'd feel really great about the start. But for Rashee Rice, the market loves him. I have to, at some point, if I want to take him, I just got to take him where he goes. Rashee Rice might be a 1-2 turn guy at some point, but I think for him, you want to have a receiver like at least this tier, if not that first round tier of receiver with your 2 RBs to start. Like my favorite start actually that I've done in a while was when I got James Cook in the 3rd round, Breece Hall in the 4th round, had 2 receivers on top of that. I forget what the 2 receivers were. That felt like a really nice build because like, oh, cool. I have 2 bell cow RBs. 2 guys who are going to lead backfields. Same thing if you take Kyron here and you somehow get Breece Hall back. I think your best build right now is receiver, especially on DraftKings, but I think it's the same on all the sites. Receiver, Kyron / Chase Brown / James Cook, Breece Hall here. That's a nice pairing. And I'm not a Breece Hall guy, but I think at that spot, feeling pretty good. Just don't mind having Sutton as my number 1. Like if you're hitting wide receiver hard for like your next 5 rounds, you start with Sutton and you're hitting receiver then, and you're getting your Deebo and your whatever. I'm just naming his theoretical guys in that range. Your Deebos and your Jennings and your Odunze, like whatever, fine. You're getting a little thin though. You're getting a little thin, I think, when you start receiver that late. But mileage may vary. You just got to throw enough volume at the position is always the move. If you don't take RB early, you better be throwing some volume at RB late. If you don't take receiver early, I think it's a little bit harder to dig out, but you better throw some volume at that position. But taking 3 RBs plus an elite QB, it's a lot. It's a lot of capital. It's not going to receiver, in my opinion. And I think a lot of the data would support that. Maybe last year, not so much. Last year if I had to guess, last year was an aberration, but an important market correction back to RBs being valuable. And I think we've established that pretty well. I mean, I've said it enough times here, your RBs in your top 4 rounds, I really think there's very few likely fail outcomes. Like for me, Jeanty, I think is a little bit overpriced for what he is, given the fact that he's a rookie. He's probably not going to be locked into a ton of PPR points. He might get it, but he's not locked into it. McCaffrey, the workload last year with Shanahan calling plays, just like he's going to do this year, even though they changed the OC. McCaffrey did not come back to a lot of red zone work last year, and it might be that they were worried about the injury, but you talk about a guy going from 5 red zone touches a game, opportunities, including targets, to a guy who's then getting about 2. That's a really big fall off and roll, and I would worry that sticks. Besides that, though, like Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, I know people keep worrying about him, even though they seemingly are going to extend him and pay him big money that's going to justify keeping him in the role. All the RBs up top, even if you have little cases against them, they're all pretty appropriately priced. Like Joe Mixon isn't there anymore, and even you can make a good case for. But I think in previous years, he would have been like a first-round guy, and that would have been bad. I think it's a Tet McMillan team. The Q tag, again, as stupid as it is on DraftKings, maybe would make him fall a little bit. I'm cool with Kittle as well, but I think we needed to get a receiver in and make sure it was one of a certain quality. McMillan, to me, being a guy who's going to benefit from this Carolina offense, as we talked about in the underdog draft, I think Tet's your biggest upside guy. Great yak player as well. That's a good thing for him because he's going to be able to create value off of hopefully some easy button targets too. Like Tet a good amount here. And Kittle's still here. Yeah, for as much as like he doesn't excite me, I think Kittle 9 picks after ADP, still a very elite tight end. And I take a lot of Jennings. I got to take more Kittle. So Kittle, elite tight end. Getting one more receiver in here of the Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers tier would have been nice. But I think we could still make receiver work well enough. So we'll take the elite tight end with Kittle. The team so far, we got Saquon, Barkley, Bucky, Irving, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, George Kittle. So very balanced team so far. Need to make it up at receiver. But I think we have, if Rashee Rice is a guy you believe in, I think we have a good start here. If Rashee Rice is a guy who's just a less athletic Jalen Royals, then we have some concerns. But Rashee Rice is good to go. Appreciate Consigliere, been a member for 22 months, so underrated. You're the only streamer who does all 3 big tourneys back to back to back. So you can put $4.5 million in title. That's true. It's more money than anybody else can compete for because they either have exclusive deals or they're afraid to draft all 3 sites at once. But I've honestly enjoyed this bit. I hope for you guys out there, you get some value out of it. And again, obviously, we are here in service of drafters, the presenting sponsor of the show. Even though, Zach, if you watch the stream, please pay my invoice. It'd be really nice to get that done. But I love drafters, and I do think for you guys, I've said it enough times, and it's obviously part of the ad spiel here as well. But, like this is important to get action on all the sites. And I think it was really one of the flaws in my process last year. Like last year's technically, even though it was a year where I didn't have a BBM finals team, I didn't put enough DK entries in, didn't get to the DK finals. It was my most profitable year last year because I spread my action around, had good enough results in particular for playoff best ball that really put me over the top. But like I did that, not enough last year. And I would like to do it a lot more this year because of how that's gone. So still want to get my 150 in an underdog. That's the goal. I got to make sure I excel in Justin Herzig's fantasy best ball. It's really the only goal I have for the year. Besides that, though, I think it's important to get action other places. And I know it's hard sometimes for people to do that. $3 drafts on DK get crazy when a drafter was taking free agents in the top 5 rounds. Well, that should get thrown out, but hopefully it would. Shout out Jack. Appreciate Jack. He's always a good guy in my stochastic. Wait, no, that's you, Jack. Jack, you've been here too. Might be thinking of different guys in my stochastic streams. What up, Spags? Another nice start. Hope all's good, man. I appreciate you, Jack. Appreciate your kind chats as always. Shout out to all you guys hanging out. It is nice. Again, even if I scare off too many of the mainstream viewers, it's always nice to have a good community here. I appreciate all you guys being here. We got a drafters draft coming up next. That's that's the 7 Fishes episode of the Bear. That's what we do, where we come together as a family. We hate each other just a little bit, but then you can just leave and go about your lives. That's life in a total points format. Here, when you were in a pod, I'm going to have the fucking guy in the 5 hole in every pod of mine on DraftKings. He's an addict being on my streams. But yeah, for you guys out there, for drafters, I do think, just getting a different look, an important thing. But the format also, you can draft with friends. Don't collude, I say that not sarcastically. Usually got my robust start. You lost me, C-Slave. I'll look at it in a moment. Thoughts on Henry Lamar stack secure rushing TDs and underdog? I don't think it's a bad thing. I wouldn't do it every time because they really don't correlate like they do eat from each other's plate, but they should ping pong back and forth. And I've done it before. Not every time, but I've done it enough times. I don't think it's a bad thing. Same thing for Hurts and Barkley too. I think that works. All right, we got to add some receiver firepower in. We've got a lot of the usual suspects. Rome Odunze versus Chris Olave. I like both, but I like Odunze the most. I am real big on Odunze this year. You saw my underdog exposure is one of my highest exposed receivers. I just think the talk has been not good for DJ Moore, and the talk has been very good for Odunze. Nothing Odunze did his rookie year should make me this confident in him. But Ben Johnson gives me confidence. Odunze's own skills, the fact he was a better athlete than I thought, and the fact that he's produced when he's been, a well-fed player in the past at college, I think stands, up for me a little bit. But we got Barkley, Irving, Rice, McMillan, Odunze, Kittle. Addison works. Olave works. Addison's going to be on the better team, scoring more points. Olave, more of a share of the offense. But I'll go Addison here. Would have been more logical to take Addison when I had the Detroit bet last draft, but I am who I am. We start so far as a 0-2-4-1. So you have Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, Rome Odunze. Got really nice value on George Kittle, so I'm happy with that. We do have a Niners-Chicago correlation brewing here if we end up taking one of those QBs. And Jordan Addison now, our 4th receiver. I'm liking the start. I do really feel, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but I feel like I could go really either way with Addison versus Olave. Like Olave, I think could be a guy that becomes great under Kellen Moore's new offense, even though the QB play I'd really have my questions about. Addison, I don't know there's a world where he can be as good as this theoretical ceiling for Olave, but Addison's on a good offense. He's been good for multiple years. I'm just real fast going to look at the numbers because I haven't compared Olave to Addison out loud. Olave last year, 0.1 EPA per target. That's really bad for a guy who's a high target earner, who should be a downfield weapon. He also had a negative, is that right? He had a negative 0.3 EPA per target. That's really bad on downfield targets. 25% target per out run. It's not bad. 0.8 deep targets a game. It's not bad. 0.8 red zone targets a game. It's not bad. It's not anything special. Addison, I have to assume, was efficient. Addison, 0.26 EPA per target. Less targets per out run, 21%. 1.7 deep targets a game. That is a nice opportunity for him if JJ McCarthy is allowed to sling it as much. Addison also 1.3 red zone targets a game, so he's got a better red zone role. And Addison is more efficient on deep targets too. It's not a surprise. 0.6 EPA per target for him. Addison is probably the better player than Olave, I think, in terms of fantasy and in terms of just like what we want in best ball. But I'm still intrigued by Olave. Like guys in this range, Shakir, Pearsall, Diggs. Pearsall spiked to win people championships, to win people a lot of money last year. So not to speak too ill of him, but he's not like a gangbusters target earner. He's not going to take a big leap. Out of all the guys in this range, Olave, I mean, maybe you can make the case for Downs, even though I do think Tyler Warren eats into him. Olave is really the one guy who can make like a meaningful rise up, like in terms of him beating out ADP and putting up 1,500 yards somehow this year because the team is going to be dog shit. And if they're aggressive and slinging it, like a guy who's a genius offensive coordinator who's getting his first shots running offense should be doing, like Kellen Moore should be throwing it around the yard. He should be playing fucking old school. Like when he was at Boise State, should be doing that shit. That would be my hope, is that you get him kind of doing that kind of approach, but we'll see. Shout out Nick, the team is solid. I agree. Like Jacoby a lot this year. Interesting. It does seem like, honestly, the Vegas talk doesn't feel great for Brock Bowers. And I apologize if our friend Adam's in chat. I don't, you cover your ears if you need to. But like they're talking up Michael Mayer, maybe just to try to get him traded for any actual draft capital to be part of that. But like they're talking up Mayer. Dante Thornton's getting some hype, even though it doesn't seem like it's target earning hype. It's just more that he's playing a good amount of reps outside. And he's probably your functional, number 2 receiver behind Trey Tucker, outside, because Jacoby Myers is going to be in the slot. I feel like the Bowers hype is not that high though, and it doesn't sound like they're building the entire offense around Brock Bowers. I take Bowers because he's so talented and he could do a lot with a little. He did it in college, like low ADOT stuff, turned that into a lot of value. But it's very possible that Jacoby Myers is just as valuable as Brock Bowers in that offense because they're not treating him like a special talent in the same way. I would hope that's not the case, but I think it's possible. We got a lot of QBs on the board here. I mean, we've got a Denver KC bet brewing. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take Bo Nix here. I like him at this ADP. I like him with Rashee Rice as a week 17 bring back. And we lost out on Purdy. Lost out on Ingram too for the guy around the turn. Oh no, Purdy's here. All right, so Purdy or Caleb Williams? Who has bigger upside? What do you guys think? Got 10 seconds. You're not going to be able to get me an answer in time. I think Caleb Williams has bigger upside because he can run a little bit, and the Ben Johnson of it all is appealing. Brock Purdy just got gigantically paid, though. I'm going to go Caleb. I am going to go Caleb. Justin saying Caleb. Upside is Caleb, but floor is Purdy. We want upside. Single game upside, I would say, is almost definitely Caleb. But I would say for Purdy, I think for Purdy this year, you get a lot of 17 to 25 point weeks. That team's just not going to be good enough to do the things they've done in the past. It's really my big guess. Let me see. Bo Nix. Yeah, Bo Nix and Caleb have different bye weeks. Bo Nix and Purdy a different bye weeks, so that wasn't a tiebreaker. I agree the floor for Purdy is better. But I think there's a shot that Caleb becomes the fanciest version of Jared Goff in a Ben Johnson offense, and that could be really exciting. And if we're making a bet on Odunze here being a saving point of our late starter receiver, I think we're making that bet already that Chicago's going gangbusters in the pass game. So I'm cool with Caleb here, but I take Caleb for the upside, and I'm not really sold that Purdy doesn't have the same amount of upside. Addison's been falling a lot in drafts. I do this, or a bit in drafts due to suspension worry. So I'm pick 80 in this BBM I'm in. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it sucks when the guy doesn't fall to you, but yeah, I think people are worried about the suspension. Like I said, I mean, Addison going in the 70s, I think would be good enough. Addison in 80, I think would be a real easy click. But you just might want to wait until the suspension's announced then, because that might be like you're getting a taste of that floor now, but the real price floor comes when people know the suspension's actually occurring. I guess the flip side could be that maybe he only gets a 1-game suspension. But a 3-game suspension in best ball, a guy can suck for 3 games and it doesn't even matter. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't functionally matter if you have enough of a good team around it. And that's the goal of best ball, to be able to survive pretty much everything you can is your hope. But shout out to all you guys hanging out here again. Show some love. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you can. Goes a long way for me here. Again, just one provider competing against the world of best ball streams. I think I'm the only person right now doing what I do, but there's a lot of content out there, and a lot of it's perfectly fine. Like, honestly, a lot of it's good. A lot of it's perfectly fine. It's a lot of the same shit, to be totally honest about it, including me. Like, it's all the same shit. So your support here means a lot. So this version of the same shit you're getting from me will hopefully rank on YouTube better, so other people who are watching the other same shit can see my version of the same shit, and we can all go, ha, ha, ha. I'll have fun. I will say my 420 stream's not the same shit though. Somebody's smoking a joint. Nobody else is willing to do that. We're all afraid of losing brand deals. And I have no fear of that, as we've shown time and time again. I should have more fear of it. I don't. Purdy and Herbert to this guy who has McConkey and Jennings. Love to see people stacking. And he's got McCaffrey too. Good for Waka here. Nice balanced team. Maybe a little bit less receiver capital. Some guys I don't like Diggs. But that's a functional team. So used to seeing teams on DraftKings where it's just 2 to 3 people in a room lighting money on fire. Even though the rooms are sharper than they've been before, and people take guys at ADP, they don't let crazy value happen a ton. You still get idiots that don't balance teams right. But for the most part, I don't think anybody did anything too stupid here. The Jayden Burrow drafter's lacking a little, I'd say, but he's trying. He's only got 3 receivers, one of whom is going to be out for at least a month. That guy's probably lighting money on fire, if we're being honest, but it's okay. Some people have to light money on fire. We got Keon Coleman here. I do think that he's still a click for me. Going up and getting Mims would also not be bad, but I'll take Keon Coleman here, right? 8-pick discount on Keon. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to get Mims back no matter what. And I don't really feel like I need to add I need to add a third RB at some point. I don't think I need to do it yet with Saquon and Bucky. Like, I don't think Ramondre, Javonte Williams are lighting my world on fire at RB. Come on, 7-hound. I love 7s. Come on, man. I hate when the second pick takes the whole clock. He took Mims. God damn it. Really thought I would just easily get Mims back. I hate this tier of RB. I've been starting to take Javonte Williams more, but like his price tag is so high on DraftKings when you get Miles Sanders for free. I'll take the shot on Dobbins with Knicks instead. So J.K. Dobbins, RB3 for me with Bucky and Saquon, which I'm cool with. He's got a different bye week. So you've got a 2-3-5-1 build right now. Thought I'd be able to get Mims stacked up with Knicks. We just have to go late Denver stacking partners, and that's fine. Knicks, Saquon, Bucky. Again, love the start here, even though week 9 is going to be tough for my RB room. Rasheed Rice, Ted McMillan, Romo Dunze, George Kittle, Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams stacked up with the bring back. Keon Coleman, J.K. Dobbins. So we've got our guys, our QB stacked with a bring back. We've done our week 17 correlation. That's that. We're okay. I'll take the upside in Harris and Mims, but you missed the next stack. Yeah, I think Mims for the stacking matters. Look, I love Tre Harris. He was one of my favorite prospects coming out, even though I was kind of concerned about him getting the draft capital. Then when he was enough of an athlete, I was like, all right, cool, I'm down for this. For Tre Harris, I think the bigger issue is like Quentin Johnson is a blocking factor there. I mean, Mike Williams is to some extent, but he's a dusty old vet, so wouldn't worry about him too much. But really, I think that non-Lad McConkey receiver role, it's just an ambiguous room, really is functionally what it is. You have 3 guys who do a very similar thing. Right now, Quentin Johnson is ahead of Tre Harris. Like, they're calling him the starter. We know Quentin Johnson can fuck up enough that Tre Harris gets on the field. But for his rookie year, he going from a guy who got schemed a ton of targets, he's now got to fit a role where he's probably going to get schemed many less targets. I worry Tre Harris is a little bit of the Troy Franklin this year in that offense. And I love Tre Harris. I just think that he and Jackson Dart had like a very specific situation for themselves where Harris is your unquestioned number 1 receiver getting targeted a shitload. And maybe that means, that's skill to get targets. Maybe that makes him beat out Quentin Johnson. But it's not sold that's the case. And I'm not sold you should be paying top 100 draft capital for Tre Harris. And again, I say that as somebody that like really likes Tre Harris. I think he's a little bit too high. Him at 130, cool. Him versus Christian Kirk. Now we're talking. Those are, 2 wide receiver 2/3s. Kirk, different role coming out of the slot. But he and Higgins, I think, both go a little bit too high. Especially when they're going top 100. Like Higgins, I've seen go at 90. Tre Harris on Underdog, I think, still goes top 100. I think this is exactly, this would be my concern. Consigliere is saying Tre Harris is sacrificial X downside. That's worrying, but is a nice prospect. I agree. I agree with both parts of that. Yeah, Tre Harris is like, in terms of receiver in this class, I mean, besides, I mean, honestly, even more than Tet in some respects, he excited me more as much as anybody. Like Luther Burden had the really high avoided tackle rate, but wasn't a great target earner. I mean, Tre Harris, 39% target per out run in college, turned 113 air yards a game into 127 actual yards. 127? No, 129 actual yards. 0.64 EPA per target, so incredible efficiency. All his targets were out wide, 8.5 targets a game out wide for a 0.53 EPA per target. Tre Harris was good. Downfield, a 1.35 EPA per target is a very good number as well. We're talking about not dissimilar from Malik Neighbors at that point. Brian Thomas. I think Tre Harris has a lot of merits. There were teams he could have gone to, though, that would have made a bigger run out for him. Tre Harris goes to Carolina instead of Tet. That'd be a really good run out for him. Tre Harris goes to the Rams instead of Devontae Adams. Would have been a huge run out for him. Something like that, you know. Look, if he's that good, though, Quentin Johnson should be able to hold him back. I just worry how much those coaches really like Quentin Johnson. Probably more than they should, would be my opinion on that. We have a 2-3-5-1 here. Getting more at RB would be nice. I feel like I do this a lot when I take a Saquon build. Like I kind of end up wanting to go for the big swing with Tootin here. I'm just going to do it again. I feel like I'm going to sink all my Saquon Bucky teams by taking Bashal Tootin only for him to not win the job. But I'll take Bashal Tootin here. Got to get more at RB. Receiver room. We still need more with Keon Coleman as wide receiver 5. But we're okay. Decent value, unlikely. Garendo correlates. Eckler would solidify our RB room a good amount. I am going to go Eckler here. Eckler's coming up in rooms, and I think it's totally fair. He obviously wasn't Chargers Eckler last year because the volume wasn't there. In terms of efficiency, though, Eckler's numbers are kind of like jaw-dropping. And I'll read them in a sec here. Eckler last year, 0.1 EPA per rush, 0.26 EPA per target. So again, positive EPAs for both, always something we're looking for. 21% target per out run, that's good. He also had a 13% avoided tackle rate, which is not crazy elite. Like Chase Brown's got 15, James Cook's got 15, but you're comparing him to those guys, like we're not that far off. He also got 1.7 red zone rushes a game, which for a non-starting back is incredibly good. That's more than like Tyrone Tracy got. That's more than Rashad White got over the course of a year. Eckler had a good role, and they added Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who's not really a player of note. It's not like they added any of the rookies that, like, they didn't add Caleb Johnson. Nothing's changing here for Robinson, Eckler, for the most part. So I like Eckler a lot. I think he's a good click. I think it's fair that he's coming up. That's how it goes. Can you explain how EPA per rush is calculated? Basically, how much value you're adding to your team's expected point total. It's like if you start, this is just an off the top of my head thing just to try to explain the concept. If you start with the ball on the 20, your expected points for that drive are probably like, I don't know, 1.4 or something. And then if you start a drive in the 50, your expected points of that drive become like 2.7 because you're very likely to get in field goal range for a normal kicker to make a field goal. So if you're getting a rush, basically that guy will basically add, normal running back will get you 3 yards and change on a drive or on a handoff rather. For a guy who's got a higher EPA, he might get you 5 yards when a normal player is getting you 3. He's basically adding little bits of points per thing. So just a way of telling you who's better than average. If you want to learn more, look it up. Would be not trying to say it in a rude way, but like it's very specific in terms of how you approach it. It's just sort of in terms of college, comparing college to the pros, it's the only stat you have where you can really compare apples to apples in terms of like, here's what this player did versus what the expected situation is in every kind of outcome. And my belief generally is that players that are high EPA players outproduce as actual players on the field, but also outproduce in practice because they are efficient players. So the coaches see the results more. They get in the field faster. And when you pair it with other stuff too, like you could be a high EPA player in college because your team is really good and they played, dog shit competition. You'd be a really good, high EPA player because you were so good in college playing shitty competition yourself. But you're a super elite athlete, kind of like an RJ Harvey type, I guess would be the best comp there. Not all EPAs are created equal as a result. Like if you're playing Bama, you put in up high EPAs. It's different than playing Mercer. So that's sort of the stuff here. And as you look at more data, and for me, it's been, doing it now for like 5 years, doing it at professional level too at Football Outsiders. You start to identify the things more and can dig in more and see, I believe year to year, you start to get better at it. That's true of most things. It's a mix of yards gained, but also weighted to the more important yards. Yes. And there are different versions of EPA too. Like Sports Info Solutions has one where they calculate like the player accountability in a play. So like if a running back makes a great play, they'll give them more points versus if a running back is well blocked. I think that's when you're splitting hairs too much, but there's other stats out there that can theoretically add more value. And I swear by everything I get is from Sports Info Solutions. I'm lucky to have the access to their data from working at Football Outsiders. And that's, it's how I view football. So, but I appreciate you asking. I love intellectual curiosity. That's one of like, it sounds stupid to say that, but like, I really, I think that's what football should be. We shouldn't all assume we know everything until you reach a certain level of understanding. And then you also know that you don't know everything then, Like for the NBA, man, I'll tell you, I feel really good about how my NBA season ran, both in terms of my results, in addition to like just the content I created, my understanding of things, the data I created with my projections. And like these playoffs, like the finals in particular, I'm like, I can't get shit right, man. And it's, it's one of those things where you trust your process and whatever, but it's still going to happen sometimes that you fuck up. And that's if you're going in with the best efforts and some amount of back testing and whatever. Anyway, we got to make some picks here. 2-5-5-1. I think we need a receiver. Really nothing too exciting here. Dobbs is going to be my clicks. That's why I'm scrambling a little. McMillan's okay. Jack Besh, I think, should be in like the 180s, 190s. He's not going to be able to displace Jacoby Myers is really the big issue. He can't play out wide. It's the second part of the issue. There's enough target earning there anyway. I took Jack Besh a little bit in BBM because he would fall in rooms enough. And I think he's an efficient player, but he's not going to get in the field year one. Enough for me, I think, would be my assumption. So he should be falling. I'm probably not going to take him no matter what. Alec Pierce here, again, trying to add some more upsides to the receiver room would work. Roschon Johnson with our bet on Chicago would also work. I would like to get more good receivers in who can spike, but I think on a PPR site, we don't need Alec Pierce as much because we don't need that deep shot touchdown equity. I am going to go Roschon Johnson here. So that'll make it our 6th RB with our 6th receiver. Feels like a misuse of draft capital, given the fact that we went RB for the first 2 rounds. So I'll say that. I think that's a little bit of a flaw in how I handle this draft. Bo Nix, I don't like Pat Bryant. Bo Nix, I don't like Pat Bryant at most of his price tags. If he's there later when I come back, yes, I'm not reaching for Pat Bryant, though. Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, Romo Dunze, George Kittle, Jordan Addison. So we've got good stuff here with the Chicago Niners thing, the Denver KC stuff. I think that all looks good. Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman, our 5th receiver is a little bit weak with Keon Coleman. That's fine. J.K. Dobbins, Bashal Tootin, Austin Eckler, Jalen McMillan, Roschon Johnson. I think we're good at RB. I maybe didn't need to take Roschon. Frankly, feel like with how I feel about Tootin, could have passed up Tootin, maybe taken a receiver there, and then I'm doing a little bit better than McMillan. Still need to add some tight ends on top as well, but we spent enough capital there, I think, to start with Kittle. I like this team. I think the team is still a good team. I think there's some ways it could have been a little bit better if I had thought a few steps ahead more. If I'd embraced my chess Liam and planned a few moves ahead like he does in chess, I probably would have done a little bit better in this room. That's on me. I mean, my issue with Pat Bryant is I think he's overvalued. Like, I think Valet is probably going to see the field before him right now. The Michael Thomas comp, I think, just sticks with people and they're like, oh, that's such a crazy high comparison for a guy who was great at fantasy. But it doesn't mean that Pat Bryant's going to literally be Michael Thomas. It means that he reminds him of him. It's certainly more hype than Troy Franklin got. But Troy Franklin this year is getting talked positively about by Sean Payton. Apparently, he's playing a lot faster. He's also added 5 pounds of muscle. So, like, there's reasons to think, and Mims was good last year. Sutton's trying to get new money. If they pay him big, he's going to be even more cemented as an alpha target earner. I just don't think Pat Bryant is better priced here than on drafters where he goes like in the 150s, 140s. Pat Bryant to me should be like a 190s pick. I don't know. Just remember Pierce popping up in red zone for deep balls every week last season. Yeah, he was fucking great. Like Pierce wasn't a great target earner. Like that's always gonna be a flaw. But for guys to do something specific, 0.4 EPA per target, 17% target per out run's not good. But 2 deep targets a game, 0.3 EPA on those plays. 81 intended deep air yards per game. So like he basically got an entire workload of receiving yards on his deep targets alone. It's pretty good. And he had 0.4 red zone targets a game. Not fantastic. I think the concern is just that A.D. Mitchell's better than him, but I'm not sold that's going to be the case. A.D. Mitchell's a better athlete. I don't think he's a better receiver. We'll see. I like Pierce, though. I think Pierce is too cheap. Definitely for, half-point PPR where you have the touchdown equity. Somebody's got to get downfield for the Colts. Pierce is kind of like Darius Slayton, where it's like Jalen Hyatt should have theoretically passed Darius Slayton, but it just doesn't happen because the guy in front of him is good enough. I think A.D. Mitchell will get scheme targets no matter what to some extent, but I don't think he's going to pass Alec Pierce for the role. Pat Bryant over Jack Besh. This is correct, but I feel like it's the first time I've seen it in a draft. Yeah, look, I think that's fair. I think Pat Bryant and Jack Besh are very similar plays. So yeah, if they're going to go in the 170s, it's probably correct. I think Iosivas has been going too low with Higgins' injury history and his performance last season. I think Higgins' injury history a little bit tied into not having money. Now that he's got his money, if I had to guess, he'll be the healthiest he's ever been. Though, people would assume the inverse, that a guy gets paid, he gets lazier. But I think for Higgins, I think he was protecting his future earnings. And now that his earnings have been materialized, I think he'll be mostly full go and playing at his apex. And he earned targets almost as well as Chase did last year. But I think for Iosivas, excuse me, let me mute for a sec. Just want to get a cough out there. Basically for Iosivas, he's put on some weight. So he'll be on the field more, probably out of the slot, because they do like to block out of the slot a good amount. That was actually a point I saw from one of the Bengals guys. Actually, might have been Joe Goodberry on Twitter. So credit to him. I think he was the one talking about it. But Iosivas basically put on some weight. He'll be out there because Burton seemingly not going to pass him. They don't trust Burton. I don't think he's a special player. He's going to take targets away from Higgins and Chase. But having the size, being on the field, it's kind of enough to get there. Look, I feel like I'm just I'm playing the same thing over and over again. Keenan Allen's for free as wide receiver 7. The team's not going to live or die by Keenan Allen, but I think it can get a lot better if I have Keenan Allen here. So I'm going to take Keenan Allen as part of this build. I know one tight end I want to take for free, potentially, that will not say out loud. But I think I need to get my second tight end here. Theo Johnson, Chig Okonkwo. I've been taking a lot of Chig. I think Theo's more solidified in his role with Chig. Maybe the faintest concerns for Gunnar Helm taking work away. I'll just go with the highest ADP player. I'll go with Chig here. I think I'm going to take potentially 2 more tight ends. Though with Kittle, it's probably not good draft capital. I just feel like this team is done. I have Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley. I'll read it out loud. Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving. Receiver, Rashee Rice, Ted McMillan, Romo Dunze. A little bit younger of a receiving room, I think, than I would like, but I think still has the upside. Tight end, George Kittle, elite tight end. That feels fine. Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman. So again, this grouping is all coming along nicely. RB, we took a little while to get there, but then we hit Dobbins, Tootin, Eckler in a row. I think that made the room perfectly viable with Bucky and Saquon up top. Took McMillan for basically free. Roshan Johnson, part of that Chicago bet. Keenan Allen for free here in the hopes that he just adds some value to the receiver room that we didn't have. Okonkwo here is tight end 2. Do I need more RB? I don't think so. Do I need more receiver? You can always add more at receiver, but I don't think they're doing a lot better. Tight end, I feel like just having guys that can maybe advance George Kittle through might be nice. So we'll see. I might take 2 more tight ends. I don't know. I don't know. I think it'd be good to add some though. But yes, I think for free, if you have Caleb and you're on DraftKings or Drafters, adding Cole Kmet in the 19th, 20th round should just be part of what you do. Cole Kmet's your starting tight end right now for Chicago. I know we expect Colson Loveland to get there, but he did miss all of minicamp, and he might not be healthy for the start of training camp either. So that runs the risk of dragging out a little bit more. And Colson Loveland, I do think the fact he got the draft capital is great, but he was really fed in a way that was comical at Michigan, getting a 40% target route run rate. And it wasn't because he was so good. It was because they had nobody else to throw the ball to, and he was getting open enough. I think that for him, he's like a really unique case. I was surprised he got taken ahead of Tyler Warren. So I'm totally cool with taking Cole Kmet. He's also got a pretty big contract too. But you have to keep in mind, like, Ben Johnson is bringing in Colson Loveland with really big draft capital. Cole Kmet got paid money by the previous regime, or I guess it was still by Ryan Poles, I guess. But, it's now Ben Johnson's the one really wielding the power for the most part. I would think that Cole Kmet's still not like a great click to take unstacked or something. If you have Caleb and you just need a third tight end, yeah. And he shouldn't be your second tight end. He won't score enough to be tight end too, I don't think. Kmet and Fant are my latest picks if I miss Sanders and Theo. Love Sanders and Theo, with you on that. Kmet, I'm cool taking, and I wouldn't really love it as much without Caleb, as I mentioned. Fant, you have the risk that they could cut him. There's been whispers of cutting him in July, potentially. I don't know why they would. Arroyo's really coming for that job, and I think coming fast for it. He's not going to be ready to block and stuff, which will keep Fant ahead. I just think Fant's upside wasn't great last year. I don't think bringing in Clay Kubiak there, Kubiak, which was the one? Was the Niners one is fucking Kubiak. So fucking nepotism is really it. Okay, Seahawks Kubiak is Clint. Niners one is Clay. The dad's Gary. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so Clint's the Niners one, or the former Saints one. Clay is the Niners one who has no power really because Shanahan does everything. They didn't use tight end well for New Orleans last year. And when you did see things happen, it wasn't the starting tight end. It wasn't Juwan Johnson going off. It was like fucking Foster Moreau getting open for bullshit. So I'm not really sold there's going to be great tight end play there. So like, I'm just not, I don't take Seattle tight ends very often at all, to be honest. All right, we have this 2672 build. Really nothing too fun here at this point. I'm just going to take Cole Kmet. We've said his name out loud. We can't risk getting sniped by 7hound77 here. Even though I think that's Nick. I don't know. I don't know if that's Nick and you. Is that here in the room? It might be somebody in the chat. We got, again, I think the fourth tight end would work. But tight end is getting pretty ugly here. Any other, like, I mean, you know what? Let's take some Denver fucking Flyers. Troy Franklin, my man, come back to me. You've added 5 pounds of weight, and I like him thick. So Troy Franklin, you could be on the team. Bo Nix here as our QB. And straggling for some 19th, 20th round picks. Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, Romo Dunze. Tight end, we have George Kittle. Then we have Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman. So we have Chicago, Niners stacked up, Denver and KC stacked up there for week 17. I've got Keon Coleman, J.K. Dobbins, part of the Denver grouping. Bashal Tutin, Austin Eckler, Jalen McMillan, Roshan Johnson, Keenan Allen, Chika Okonkwo, Cole Kmet, Troy Franklin. I don't know what makes this team more complete. I think this is a really nicely balanced team. I'm happy with the results here. You'd always harp on different players, whatever. You don't like me taking Keenan Allen as much as I do. I would get that. I think overall, this team is nicely balanced. I like how it looks in terms of RB, wide receiver, QB. I'll name all tight end. I think it looks good top to bottom. Everybody wants to talk about why is everybody like into Devontae Turpin? You added Pickens in there. You have CeeDee Lamb in there. It's not going to be a high pass volume offense. Like if it is, I will be more shocked than I've been by anything that's occurred in fantasy football over the last few years. I don't know why people like Devontae Turpin so much. He's basically an elevated special teams player. And it's like I'm not to be rude to RM covers because I'm sure you have a credible reason for it. But somebody asked me about Turpin yesterday, and it's really odd that people are asking about this guy. Like he's the wide receiver, probably 5 for the Cowboys on a team that's going to be coached by a guy who's only been about power running over and over again. Their offensive coordinator is a former offensive line coach. Like what are we going to get with Devontae Turpin? I don't get it. Is he like legitimately? Is like he getting hyped somewhere as ETR like Devontae Turpin? Because like when you have Lamb there, when you have Pickens there, and you have still Ferguson, who I don't think is a great player. I think he's like a shittier version of what Dalton Schultz was for them, or at least like a 1-to-1 version, maybe. Frankly, thought he should have been better last year if he's a better version of Dalton Schultz. But it's like, you know, like you have enough targets there. And I would say this is the thing that we talked about yesterday too. And I appreciate that RM covers. I'm not trying to like shit on your thoughts here. Cause like, especially in the 20-round draft, those players, you can take them if you want. If you have Dak Prescott, take Turpin in the 20th round if you really want to get that share. But it's like, it's hard to get, you know, a guy like Turpin to ever really have a meaningful projection for you for best ball because the pie is already so gobbled up by everybody else there. Like you have two real alpha receivers that are going to want to get targets. And I don't know, man. I think the TX in your name might be showing here, TX politics, but Dak, if healthy, which is a big if, is throwing for 5K. I would find it hard to believe that's the way the offense is going to go. Even the way they talked about the offense so far is like, they're going to take some deep shots, but a lot of it's just trying to get the receivers the ball in space. And I don't think that's going to come with like PPR scamming the receivers to great success. Maybe it does. I mean, maybe you just get, you know, CeeDee Lamb getting 10 targets a game at a 7-8 odd or something, and he crushes. I guess it's possible. Devon Vele goes. I would have considered taking him here, but that's now no longer available to us, unfortunately. No real late Caleb receiver targets I'd want to hit. This is just a dog shit portion of things. Iumanor is a hedge against Calvin Ridley. I'll take Iumanor. 20th round Iumanor. He's a freak athlete. Was dog shit at Stanford, but that's fine. Final team here is a 2-6-9-3. We got Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving here. Two guys have a week 9 bye, but I think we did enough at RB to survive that. Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, Romo Dunze, part of the Niners, Chicago stuff I have brewing. George Kittle, also part of that. Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman, J.K. Dobbins, part of the Denver KC stack. Bashal Tootin, Austin Eckler, Jalen McMillan, Roshan Johnson, Keenan Allen, Chika Okonkwo, Cole Kmet, Troy Franklin, Alik Iumanor. The biggest issue I have is that Okonkwo and Kmet are really not viable tight end twos. I mean, Kittle's good enough. That could be okay. But I feel like that's why a fourth tight end might have made this room work a little bit better. Either way, though, second leg of our drafting cycle is done. Now's the big one, guys, where normally we have to fill an entire room on Drafters. So please do join me on Drafters. If you haven't signed up before, do it. Drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Download the Drafters app. Same thing on there. You can also get a $100 deposit match, but it does support the show directly. And really, they have supported me doing the kind of content I want to do on stream this year, which means a lot to me. So please join Drafters. Check it out. And we have 5 spots available in the room. So I'm not going to do anything until we fill this draft. But join me on Drafters today. If you want to get your name on screen here, it's a lot more helpful to do it on Drafters as opposed to other sites where you're more realistically you're killing each other's EV being in the same draft rooms. On Drafters, it's total points format, so you got nothing to worry about. There we go. 3 spots left. Throw the football. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Let it add it to the list. Nobody else is catching footballs on stream. Nobody else is smoking joints on stream. The bad boy, the coordinated boy, doing all the things. Is Drafters telling me to claim my first time deposit bonus? I don't know what that's about. For the love of God, join us Drafters Draft, or I'll have to find something else to talk about. Nobody else is catching 3 in a row. That's crazy. It's true. I'd love to see him try. Challenge every other best ball drafter. Hop on stream. Show me you can catch a football 3 times. Dare you to do it. Think round 20, Schoonmaker gets more targets at 20th round Turpin. It's a close one. Rather take Miles Sanders and Turpin based on shoddy coaching. I mean, Miles Sanders' price tag is coming up compared to Turpin, so that's that. But I just think it's weird whenever people ask about these really esoteric players, where it's like, why? Like, what is the Cavante Turpin? Like, where does that come from? It always perplexes me. But you know, it happens. It happens. So tempted to join, but I'm at work. Well, they don't allow you to do that in Texas. You can't. you can't draft and do that. The room filled and I'm not in. What? What is going on here, guys? What are we talking about? Upcoming? No, I'm not. We must be in a different room. Oh, this is not good. My lobby was all screwed up. I missed 3 picks. Hey, what's going on with drafters here? Let's see. Am I in the draft? Normally, you have issues filling the drafter's room. That I get. Okay, no, it says I'm waiting to fill. So there must be a different room that people got into. Okay, I don't know. I hope I'll know. I believe we still have 3 spots left. But it does say it's filled. It says that it's filled on the app, but I don't think it is, if I had to guess. Mr. Poopy and I are in a room that just filled, but I'm not in it, right? That's the thing. Thank you, Adam. Spags, the tilting pot smoking rebel. I don't tilt anymore, but I try to call it like it is. I'll give you that. All right, what the fuck's going on, guys? I just saw 1 spot in the room. All right, should I unregister? That seems like the correct thing to do. All right, unregister. All right, I'll enter on the app instead. Okay, yeah, no. It just never entered me. I don't know what the fuck's going on, guys. Got 10 spots left. Oh, do you want me to commit seppuku on stream? I don't want to have to fill a 10-person draft. I don't wish to do that today. It takes so long sometimes to fill these rooms. I don't want to. I don't wish to. Joined after you said 3 spots left, and I'm at the 1 and already draft. What the fuck is this shit? What's whenever I've been worried, like, the influencer 101, it's like, okay, cool. I'm not getting a lot of influencer 101s. I'm now so not influential that I can't even get in the draft room. They're like, you know what, man? You don't need to stream anymore. You've got it. You've done enough. It says 10 spots in this room. I don't know, man. What's the highest percentage you'd have of 1 single player in BBM? You rule Spags. Thank you, Michael Thomas. I appreciate it. 30% is still my max. 33 if it were a player I'm in love with. I really don't think I'm going to get to 33 this year. I'd probably guess my highs will be like 28. But you got to think like 32%, you're 4x the field. How much do you need to be above on a player? I would say you don't really need to go more than that. People out there go 50. I think that's a little bit crazy. It still says 10 spots left. I swear to fucking Christ, man. Get me in this goddamn room, drafters. Did they ban me on drafters? Oh, gosh. Maybe we can fill some more rooms so we fuck with this account. That's it. Everybody wants me to tilt. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with the bit of it. I'm not going to do it anymore. And now, like, I can't even get in a draft room. They're just going to fuck me over. They flipped the fast and slow buttons, those fucks. Did they? Oh, wait, no, I'm registered, unregistered fast draft. Okay, so I'm good. I'm in the right fucking thing. Watch a best ball drafter figure out how to draft is going to be the fucking new title of the video. Please let me draft. Oh, it's getting hot in here too. I got to turn the fan on. You think this room's going to fill by the time I turn the fan on? If I had to guess, absolutely fucking not. Ugh. Fucking dog shit, man. No respect from nobody. Oh, there we go. Check out my dad bod coming back into the seat here. All right. Okay, draft now. Still 5 spots. I don't know what the fuck's going on, guys. Let's read the fantasy feed here on the right column. Here we get a large field contest. The main contest is now $30 Canadian for an entry. I'll be avoiding. $2 contests are also too cheap and low entrance. No replies from the staff. This is what the community thinks about drafters right now, guys. Well, we wait forever for the room to fill because I am in a hell of my own creation. All right, 11 out of 12 filled. Don't you fuck me, drafters. Don't you fuck me. I sent out the all call and thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now that I have to fill 2 rooms, I need the support, so I appreciate it. Take the shirt off like me, Spec. No, Spencer. We keep shirts on here. I will not do the truffle shuffle. I saw your earlier chat, but I didn't get a chance to pull it up. All right, what the fuck's going on, guys? Fill me. I crave your fill. Please. Love of God. Drafters drafts will fill faster over the course of the summer. Like as we get into July and August, people are actually trying to get their entries in. Right now, though, ooh, daddy, we are digging out. Still not filled. You fill my empty draft holes. The good news is we got 2 drafts on, so anybody watches the video, there we go. We did it, gang. We're doing a draft. Welcome to Splash Play, where sometimes we're going to get to do a draft. We did it. Piss Boy Pete's here. Love to see it. We got Sports Veer, Team Skank, Ale Season. I think he's in the chat. He's in the chat. I am the KY in the chat. Mr. Hoopy Butthole in the chat. Piss Boy Pete in the chat. Our guy Nolan, OMG, look at me. GM Shorty stuff, I think, in the chat. That's that. If you, I don't know Sports Sphere, I don't know these other guys, but shouts to all of them who did join. Thank God. Thank God. We did it, gang. Thanks for all your support, guys. All right, 2 hole here. I'm going to click the I'm ready, let's draft button. I've been ready to draft for like an hour. So this is gone. Usually they do their $2, huh? Okay, that's good. I mean, look, it's nice they have the different price points. I know people do complain about Underdog not having the cheap tournaments right now. If you want to get in 150 for super cheap, do it on drafters. Definitely getting less big prizes overall when you're in that one. What was the $2 prize structure? 10K to first is not bad for a $300 amount of entries if you were to max it out. Honestly, that's more than I thought. I thought it was going to be like 2K or something. We had 10K to first for the cheap tournament on drafters, 500K in this one. So this completes our $4.5 million in drafts today. And, you know, let's win that money. Let's go win that money, as I always say on this show. All right, come on, come on. Clock ticky, ticky. I appreciate Mr. Mister. Yeah, you can, I think there's workarounds for it if you care enough to try to do it. But, yeah, that might be the case. Can't really, you know, can't really elaborate. But I believe there are workarounds if you really want to make it work. All right. Sports Veer. Taking Jamar Chase. Brave take. Jefferson here. Bijan here. Saquon here. I've not been getting a lot of Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to just try to do that. I'm happy to, again, I've been taking a lot of Saquon, a lot of Bijan. What's my, let's see, we figured out how to do drafters exposure yesterday. I mean, I knew how to do it, but we did it on stream. My Saquon exposure on drafters, let's see. Player exposures. All right, where are we at? Let's control F Saquon, 11% Saquon on drafters. What's Bijan? Only 5% Bijan? 21% Justin. Yeah, that was all wrong. I needed a best ball overlay tool for this. I fucked that up. All right. Should have taken Bijan, I guess. I feel like I've been taking Saquon and Bijan everywhere over and over again. So I guess in my mind, that exposure must be me taking them everywhere. On BBM, I'll look at that at the same time. BBM, I've got 11% Saquon. Only 5.4% Bijan. Only 5.4% Justin Jefferson as well. 14% Jamar Chase. Still influential and underdog, apparently. Amon-Ra, 7. Puka's got to be 15, right? No, Puka 13. Yeah, I'm not really crazy overweight to anybody. Neighbors, I got 16. I've been taking him all the time. Brian Thomas, 5%. Got to scoop some discounts on him. All right. Well, fuck me. Anyway, I fucked that up. That's why it's important to check your exposures. So you think you're not taking Justin Jefferson enough, and apparently I've been taking him way more than the others. So lesson learned. I'm happy to take Justin Jefferson too for what it's worth, but I think Jefferson versus getting T. Higgins, getting Rashee Rice at the next pick, I just think it's easier to replace that than it is to replace a Saquon Barkley median projection year, a Bijan Robinson median projection year, and the potential for Bijan to add himself to the lore of your Priest Holmes, your McCaffreys. You're like, I think there's a shot that Bijan can pull off one of those years. It's going to be probably hard because of Algier still being there. But like, I think Bijan's got that in his bag, and now we're at that age where he should, and Atlanta's offense too, and their maturity with where they're going to be, that he can hit that ceiling. So that's part of why, like, I like Jefferson, but I'm not super stoked about him. But like with Saquon and Bijan, you can dig out of that RB, out of that hole, not taking a receiver early, and you have two RBs that can potentially put up absolute monster years. Not crazy about Jefferson too. What about Dijon? Dijon's okay. Honey mustard better, but I feel like similar enough. Should we just do Bucky again? just do the same shit? I guess so. I mean, we didn't do Saquon, so let's do Bucky. Justin Jefferson, Bucky, Irving. We'll see what SportsVeer does here. Just taking receivers, which is fine. And we can get Trey McBride or Marvin Harrison. I think I prefer McBride. So we've got an elite RB, an elite tight end. Mr. Poopy Butthole whoops in here, having some fun times. Please draft fast. Fuck off, whoops. Only I can demand that. Nobody else gets to. Phone to build in pod tourneys is Jefferson, Higgins, McBride, JMO. Optimal week 17 correlation. That is fun. That is fun. I gotta say, Robert Griffin III thinks about every angle possible that you could draft this stuff. I respect it a bunch. Like, nobody that I know in the space that like tries to map out the board. I guess Pete's done it in videos too. I feel like you do a good job mapping out the board and knowing when pockets. It's so dumb, like, because it just sounds like I'm saying spend more money on drafts. Like, it's one of those things. Internalizing ADPs and pockets where you get guys is a really important part of the game. I think more than ever, I've felt like that's really been one of the edges in a lot of these draft rooms I've been in lately, especially with BBM, where like I think you can feel in 20-second clock people kind of struggling sometimes to put their team together the way they want. I think it's really, knowing the pockets allows you to navigate that the most. That's it. I kind of think that, but I am wildly autistic about it. I think I would say passionate, but that's also fine. But you could like trains too. Not out on JJ, but McCarthy gives me confidence for him to be a top 3 pick who returns their value. It gives you no confidence. Who would like to see it first? Yeah, I get wanting to see it first for sure. I think for Jefferson, I'm confident enough in McCarthy and how he played in Michigan because he was really one of the guys I thought. He wasn't Jayden tier for me, but if Caleb Williams didn't have the priors that he did, I think you could have made a case McCarthy's a better prospect than Caleb. I did say on stream, and I don't feel bad about it, I would have liked McCarthy over Drake Maye. I know people like the Drake Maye physicality. He's a little bit of a bigger body, athleticism, but frankly, JJ McCarthy, just as good of a runner. He just didn't have his younger years doing it. And frankly, Drake Maye stopped running his senior year, barely ran as a pro last year, like ran shy of 5 times a game. I think it's possible to get the same rushing from McCarthy, even though he's not a running QB. So I say for me, I like McCarthy enough, but I agree that you run the chance that McCarthy is a more condensed target version of Kenny Pickett, where the ceiling's not really that big, but the receivers are good enough to get there, like Pickens was with Pickett. I think it's a possibility, but we'll see. But I'm still willing to take Jefferson at ADP. He's so talented. I just don't think it'll be that bad. I do think at this point, though, I think there's a pretty big gap between Chase and Jefferson. And I think you run the risk that a Puka Nacua could put up a legendary year. I think you run the risk that a Neighbors could put up a really, really good year if the Giants are competitive. Amon-Ra, you would need the OC there to change the equation. Nico maybe has a really big year in his bag. He's playing for a better contract. That's certainly something that'll affect things. JMO here. We need to get some more capital in. And hey, we get Detroit, Minnesota correlation for week 17. Why not? So Jameson Williams, come on down. Guy has had great coach speak. I really would have thought maybe if it happens more of the summer, JMO could move into the 30s. But I think this little pocket here is nice with JMO, Devontae Smith. I'm cool with these guys here. All right, we got Bucky, Jefferson, JMO, McBride. Who makes this team pop the most? Unstacked Jalen Hurts, still a tough click for me. Not really a big enough ADP value to want to go there. Zay Flowers, I think, due for some touchdown regression. Hunter, I like. But if I'm going for a full season, I probably want Flowers. Ridley, I like. Think he'll be good for the full season as well. Hampton, not in consideration for me here. I'm going Zay. Zay's still my boy. Think a PPR site will reward Zay a little bit more if he doesn't get the touchdown equity that he probably needs to get. That's that. So the team so far, Bucky, Irving, Justin Jefferson, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Tre McBride. I'm cool with that. I don't have a ranked list of RB2s. I mean, my ranks have everybody in order, but I don't have specifically a rank of RB2s. If you pay for the rankings, though, I don't know, you could probably filter it, I guess. I do have to give the rankings an update, though. I do owe that. Spags to go. Let's get that 4.5 million, baby. Why not this be the year? Yeah, I would love to win all tournaments in 1 year. That would that would be great for me. I don't know what I would do. The odds of that happening, like I'm sure somebody can calculate it if you really want to do it. I guess we could do the raw math. It's not going to work out this way specifically, but let's see. All right, so for drafters, let's say that you just have a 1 out of 140,000 shot. So we'll do it that way. So how am I going to put this all together? All right, so 1 out of 140,000. All right, so that's oh my gosh. It's not a high probability. That's a 0.07% probability of hitting. So let's mark that down. Where can I mark that down? I'll mark it down in the Discord. All right. Winning drafters, what is it? 0.00. Oh shit. Well, I just did that. Fuck. Let me do it again. All right. 1 in 140,000. 0.00. This is such a stupid thing to be doing. We got a lot of time before my picks because I'm picking so early in the round. All right. So we got 5 zeros and a 714. 0714. All right. So for Underdog, we have a what? Oh, you fuck. Well, let's just say for one entry, because I'm not sure I'm going to max out everything. I know I'm going to max out BBM. Not sure I'm going to max out drafters and DraftKings. Let's just say one entry. For the one entries I did on stream. For Underdog, we have how many entrants? My God. 672,672. So 1 out of 672. So that's 0.0000149. So times 0.00. So 5 zeros, 149. All right. We're getting there. We're making progress here. We're doing math. Everybody loves to do math here. Actually, but you should, I guess, like to do math a little bit if you're gambling. I think it should probably go hand in hand. And on DraftKings, we have a 1 out of 882,000. So, and 100 technically. So 1 divided by 882, 100. Okay, we're on the clock. I'll resume my math in a moment. All right, we got Joe Burrow here, doesn't correlate. Jordan Addison here does correlate. Easy. Sometimes it's that easy, guys. I may make it look as difficult as the math we're doing right now, but sometimes you just take Jordan Addison here and you see what you get back. Frankly, it would be kind of fun to take Laporta here, but I don't think he'd be the click. All right. He took Laporta anyway, so that's fine. David Montgomery, I think, does round out the room a little bit. RJ Harvey, I just can't make that click. I really just don't like RJ Harvey. I don't like RJ Harvey as much as you guys do, as much as the world does. Not for me. The team so far: Bucky, Irving, David Montgomery, Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Tre McBride. Like the team so far, not having QBs a little bit fucky. But I think we're okay. All right, so the DraftKings chance of winning is 0.0000113. So times 0.0000113. All right, so our final chances here are 0.11111149 times 0.1115714. Oh, it's an E number. The chances of winning are 1.20605374 E minus 17. So I think that would mean it's like 15 decimal points chance. If I put this in Excel, I could do the calculations better and I could find how many times I would win theoretically. 1 in 84.58 quadrillion. Okay. That is true. You are 4 times more likely, just based off the pure 1 in whatever amount of entries math. You are substantially higher to win drafters than you are the others. I mean, it's 714 compared to 149 for Underdog, 113 for DraftKings. And you take out the pod component too, which probably inherently bakes in some weird probability luck. It makes more sense why I've won more money on drafters now that we've done this math. I am not like, I look at those things that guys post. Like, I think Michael Dubner over at Rotoviz does a great job posting, like, here's the expected value of this tournament. The guy John Boy Beats used to do it too. I don't know if he still does. Where they basically do the value, all of that. I think those are really helpful. I personally just like, oh, that seems like a nice prize for the amount of effort I have to put in. Sure. If it's like a 150 max for 10K, I just won't do that. But the fact that you have like a 4x, 5x chance to win on drafters definitely makes more sense, and I've had better results on it. It's so dumb. I guess you should do the math. You should do the math for everything, really. You do the math for betting odds if you're doing that right. So I guess you do it for this stuff. Imagine doing the math on a Thursday stream. That would have been awful. Thoughts on Mostert's role behind Jeanty? I think it's probably more than you want, but not really enough to be a credible role. 20 round sites, though, you take Mostert when you have that correlation. If you just need a 7th or 6th RB, I think he works. Not an exciting click. I think we saw kind of the floor last year. I think he really at Miami offense might have just run good to start and then kind of got figured out. But for Mostert, I'm not crazy about him, but I think he, like a Miles Sanders, a free click that probably shouldn't be totally free would be my guess. You multiply the number by 153 times, you get the odds fee maximal. All right, let's do that. All right, so times 150 times 150 times 150. So that's 4.0704 E minus 11. So I think we're still, the odds are still not in our favor, but they are better. They are better. Point being, I don't think I'm going to win all 3 sites here on this stream. Hopefully, collectively, the odds are good enough. Could you imagine, though? And you know, and you still have people that are like, I don't even think he's that good at drafting. So, especially for me, that one, they would absolutely still fucking shit on me. It would be, I would have so much money at that point, I wouldn't give any shit at all. I'd be like, all right, cool. Suck my dick. See you later, guys. All right, we're going to add some RBs here, I think. Jalen Warren, Jordan Mason. Kyler Murray does correlate. The guy next to me does not have any correlation with it. Be kind of stupid to take him. Warren. I'm going to go Warren here. I think on a PPR site, Jalen Warren more appealing to me than Jordan Mason. Half-point PPR, I think Mason, because of the goal line work he's probably getting from Minnesota. At the very least, taking some work away from Aaron Jones, if not all of it. So that's how we're going to handle that one for now. And then let's see what SportsVeer gives us back. So I do want Kyler Murray here. I think that Jordan Mason would have been a good click if the guys for some reason took Kyler Murray. I don't know why he would. Baker Mayfield, also happy to take him, but I don't think he and Bucky are the strongest correlation to hit. So I'll go Kyler here again. Though honestly, based on fantasy scoring last year, Baker was such a better scorer. We do care about total points. But I'll go Kyler. The Kyler McBride stack is still too clean. So 1 QB, 3 RBs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end through 9 rounds. Kyler Murray, Bucky Irving, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren. Think we feel okay about the RB room? Need to not slack off on it though, because it's going to get a little bit thin here the next few rounds. Wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and a tight end, Tre McBride. So we definitely would like to get that Minnesota stack with JJ McCarthy coming up. Could also add a third on potentially. Like a Goff could work, but not a must-have. I'm cool with this team, though. Really just feel like on drafters, my teams every time out, just clean. It's clean. Would I keep streaming if I won all 3 tournaments? I think I would have to be like, I would stream less volume, I think, but I would have to do it because I would be like being able to declare how great I am at something every time I talk. So like, it would be, it would be really cool. The thing is like, you know, if you win all 3 in a year, I do think it would be a little more undisputable that you're actually good at the thing. For best ball, it is still 1 slate every year that, you know, you win these tournaments. And especially last year, and no disrespect if you won money last year, like more power to you, great. But some of the people that won last year are like, duh. So I don't know that, you know, winning 1 tournament actually does reflect how good you are as a player. It means you ran good, means that, you know, the chips came together the right way. But if you win all 3 tournaments in 1 year, I think you'd have to do streams and declare yourself the best ball player in the world. There's actually a domain, if I ever won one of the noteworthy tournaments and I wanted to just like, not fleece you guys for money, but I wanted to put a product out, was more my thought. There's a domain that's available that I think would be perfect. I'm not going to say what it is, but I haven't bought it because I don't want to jinx me ever winning best ball tournament. But there's things you could do. But it would be so much money to win 4.5 mil. Like, I don't know. It's not enough money to retire forever, I don't think, but it's pretty close to it. If you live a reasonable lifestyle like I do. Have you met Liam? You ready to see what that looks like? Yeah, but I think I would do it in a more fun way. I would like to believe. I would declare myself, I've said it before, even if I win BBM, I'm going to declare myself, or DraftKings really, I'm going to declare myself the tribal chief of best ball. I'll put out some products, put out some domains, do that, you know. But even if I won one of the tournaments, I don't think it would make me the best ball player ever. It would just make me and I ran the best. If I had like a really high advance rate and also advanced a ton of finalists, like that's your really biggest test. Like I will say for Herzig, as much as like that Rolling Stone puff piece was like the biggest wank off I've ever seen from a guy who's like his friend and just wrote a fucking nice piece about him because he thought it was interesting. And like, there's really no merit to it really to exist as an article. I say this as somebody that, you know, does journalism. That said, Justin Herzig has the best claim to be the best ball player ever because he's made the finals every year for BBM, and that's hard to do. If it were just advance rate stuff, I'd be like, well, you know, that doesn't matter. But if you're advancing at a good clip and you're getting to the finals every year, you're doing something right. So I think that's probably your biggest merit. But nobody could really dispute it. If you won DraftKings, Underdog, and Drafters, like you would have the ultimate horseshoe up your ass to somehow pull that off. But that would be like the fullest proof here that you've won every format that you possibly could. Basically, you've won full point PPR pod, half point PPR pod, full point total points PPR. Like you would be the best. I don't think you'll see it in our lifetime. Even for anybody to win all the tournaments once throughout their entire lifetime, I don't think you would see that. But who knows? Crazier things that happen, you know. McCarthy's got to be one of these clicks, obviously. That's really that. Nothing else here is even remotely appealing. It's just all QBs. Frankly, we could stack Detroit and Minnesota and not feel bad about it. I'm going to go Jared Goff here, and I think I'm just going to take McCarthy too on the way back. We're starving ourselves a little bit here, but like, is my team going to die here because I didn't take Kyle Williams and Luther Burden? I don't think so. Is my team going to die here because I didn't take J.K. Dobbins? That one maybe more so, but whatever. Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, J.J. McCarthy. I usually don't do this for what it's worth. I almost never take 3 QBs in a row, but I think we've got good balance of the team, and we have enough of the Minnesota bet. We've got a decent Detroit bet with Montgomery and JMO, and we have the McBride Murray bet. I don't think it's the best use of draft capital, but we'll see how the team finishes. So Team so far is Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, JJ McCarthy. I am a period boy. I'm streaming red right now. Bucky Irving, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Justin Jefferson, Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and Trey McBride. So 3-3-4-1 build here. Trying to get more QB points in for a total points format, I don't think is a crazy thought. I just think that draft capital of 3 in a row, 9, 10, 11 rounds might be too much. Can't wait for the leg up slappies to take all those zeros from Kyle Williams. That's funny. I think that's I think it's possible, yeah. Kyle Williams, I don't think it's going to be a monster targeter no matter what. That'd be my guess, but I don't know. Maybe Drake Maye will be the best QB in football and they'll make all their money and they can prove that they were right. And frankly, if that hits, then they were right and I'm wrong. I just think that Drake Maye is too expensive. And I think it's largely because those guys are very influential. So more power to them. And again, it's not just them. It's really like every dorky QB prognosticator out there, not even just in our best ball space, but like again, the Ben Solak one comes to mind. That guy has defended Drake Maye. He has caped for Drake Maye like Drake Maye is family in articles where there's articles he's written. I see it mostly from the Bill Simmons subreddit because I'm not like no respect to Ben Solak. Sure, lovely guy. I don't need his takes. I don't really care. I don't think he's like anything special. No respect. Not everybody's for me. He's written articles though that I've seen through the Bill Simmons subreddit because he used to work at the Ringer, where he's like, "Yeah, Jayden Daniels was great last year, but what really sold me is Drake Maye and how he's like, yeah, the guy who made the NFC title game single-handedly on his back. He's pretty good, but Drake Maye is the one you really like need to feel good about because he played okay down the home stretch and he didn't have a lot of weapons. Like, what are we talking about here?" And that team can go 10-7 or whatever. Like they can do that because it's going to be a defensive minded approach. They spend a ton of money on D tackle. They're going to try to stuff the shit out of the run like they did in Tennessee and then probably suck in the secondary like Tennessee also did. And the offense is going to run and keep the ball close to the vest. But what about that screams like super fantasy friendly offense? I feel like them, if you want to fade Spags, I'm always happy to give you guys the direct key to do so. New England, Dallas, load up on those teams because I just don't see how they hit what the markets think they're going to hit. KC, I could see how that happens. Like I've talked about that. Somebody who's down on KC last year, I think the rubber met the road for them in the Super Bowl. This year, I think they come out a lot more aggressive offensively. But for New England, and look, I have my flaws in prognostication too. I like shitty teams too much. But I tend to change year to year. Like I tend to take the new info and do it. And I feel like all the Drake Maye guys are just like, don't know. They took some info from last year and they're like, what's the info that continues to allow me to keep making the exact same case? They're like, yup. Drake Maye had a really good 4-game stretch at the end. Sure. We got Jayden Blue here. We need more receiver firepower desperately. I'm not going to call Adam Thielen firepower, but I am going to call him a guy who can work as wide receiver 5. So Adam Thielen, come on down. Quentin Johnston would be another guy, I think, to try to make up in a room. Feels like a tight end spot as well, but none of these guys correlate with what I'm doing. Not really any big ADP values here. Jayden Blue. I just really don't believe in Jayden Blue. I'm just going to be honest about it at this point. Even at a 146 ADP, I don't really buy it. Gonna go Garendo here. I feel like whenever I go Saquon, Bucky, I always end up taking Garendo as sort of a lever against CMC. I don't think that actually matters, but it is a trait I've noticed in myself. Spags, what's your take on that Siegel guy, Sean Siegel? He's the one I almost always disagree with. Seemingly just makes bad hot takes still pretty popular. Wow. Sean Siegel makes bad hot takes? I don't agree with that. He's the father of zero RB. Like he created it, popularized. I wouldn't say created, but he definitely popularized it and was the one to write articles about it that made people adapt it in the fantasy community. I think it's hard to ever speak ill of somebody who did something that noteworthy in terms of like, you did a thing everybody knows you for. Like Aaron Schatz was not the most fun to work with for me. Football Outsiders, but he made DVOA. So it's like, I think you still deserve respect for it. So I'd give him that. I think his player takes have not been as good as maybe they were years ago. Like, I don't know, just to be real about it. But I feel that way about a lot of people. I think, and I say that too, because I think I'm really good at player takes. Don't always hit all of them, but I think sometimes like the ones even I don't hit, I feel like kind of ran bad on injuries and bullshit. So in that respect, I think that maybe that's what you hold against him. But I think he's a smart guy. I don't know. I think sometimes people have a hard time adapting too. And I'm not saying that specifically about him. But I think maybe a hard time adapting to the shifting landscape when you had something that was so unique and specific that you created, like zero RB, or that you popularized. And then it's like, it doesn't work as much anymore, or it doesn't work in the same way because the markets have shifted. I think that can be hard to adapt to. But I've seen that with DFS too, to be totally candid. Like there are guys who were really good at DFS when I started at Stochastic, and then they got really not good at it as more tools came out and stuff. I think the same thing for pretty much everything. C-Slave asking here, you are high on Daniels, not as much as last year. Yeah, I'm honestly not high enough exposure-wise. But how am I feeling about Deebo? It's reminding me a lot being out on Cooper Kupp before he teamed up with Stafford. Not a bad analogy. I think the real upside for Deebo is that McLaurin was just overplayed last year because he was the only option that was actually good for that room, and I think that's entirely a possibility. I think Terry McLaurin's really overpriced this year. I've been really finding it hard to click him. For Jayden, though, I think for him, he's gonna have the ceiling no matter what. I worry you're paying a little bit of a steep price tag for McLaurin and frankly for Deebo too, because week to week, those guys can have the big game. They might not have the big game. It might be Zach Ertz. It might be even somebody like Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane. You go down the depth chart, Noah Brown, if he's healthy. Like Jaden's going to throw it to the open guy, and that's it. But I think Deebo's going to get schemed a lot of easy touchdown opportunities, screens as well. I think on a PPR side, he works well. I take Deebo a lot more than McLaurin, and I loved McLaurin last year. The price tag's right for Deebo. The price tag to me is not right for McLaurin. Is really what it comes down to. Because like Deebo can get deep targets. McLaurin probably is going to lose all the short stuff that made him a ton of touchdowns last year. We got Bigsby here. We got Pat Bryant. We got Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry for more tight ends. I'll see a lot of decent guys here, but I want to add more at RB because we didn't get the second early RB. I'm going to go tank Bigsby. This chasing touchdown equity for Bigsby still feels like the move for me. And I like Tank. I think Tank was good last year. Like for ATN, I think I get why Liam Cohen might gravitate towards him, why he might be a guy that goes the highest ADP. Bigsby outplayed him in pretty much every facet of the game besides, I guess, pass production. He was awful again last year. We got Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz here. I am going to go Zach Ertz, Cardinals now and former. But Zach Ertz to me is just a really nice click on all these sites at this point, whether I have Washington or not. We need more receiver firepower, but frankly, I'm not in love with the screen here. And I think we can just make it there late with volume. So the team is going to be right now Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, JJ McCarthy. At RB, Bucky Irving, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Isaac Guerrero, Tank Bigsby. A wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen. And a tight end, Trey McBride, Zach Ertz. Wide receiver room absolutely needs some more love, but if we're making this bet on Jefferson, it better be a bet that he's going to be super elite and have his first 400 fantasy point year. I would hope that's it, but rest of the team, like the QB room a lot, like Bucky Irving up top a lot, like having Montgomery and Warren. Guerrero and Bigsby are secondary RBs. I like a good amount too. Just the receiver room needs some more volume late. You're all good, Jack. I just, I try to pay. It's funny because I think I get a rep for I do shit on some stuff or whatever. But I do really like people who do things that are noteworthy and valuable. I try to respect adequately. And I think Sean Siegel did something noteworthy and valuable. I think RotoViz is a great site too, that I don't know if he owns that or if he's just one of the primary contributors there, but they are also a site that I think candidly got lapped by a lot of other best ball properties out there in a way that they don't deserve because they've been so valuable for so many people for so long. So I try to give people their flowers, and I think Sean Siegel deserves his flowers. And hopefully he crushes. I don't know. I don't know him on a personal level though. I've only done a couple streams with them, I think, through Pete. Whatever, do FFPC and stream it. If they gave me money, it's be real guys. It's not where my passion is. Like Underdog. I would probably, we'll see. Probably do Underdog for free. Just because I enjoy that enough. But I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm really one of those people as a content creator, especially with the AI stuff. You don't want to give away the milk for free too often. But that's that. Sean and Colin co-own it. Didn't know that. Okay, good to know. I hope they make enough money off it. I mean, RotoViz is a very influential site. Matters a lot. I've thought lately, to be totally honest, and it's something I've actually talked out loud about, but because I want something else to add to my workload. Like if I'm going to stay the freelancer contractor route for stuff, I've thought about trying to make a new football content site where like I would actually post stuff and like treat it kind of like I used to blog back in the day, where like doing multiple updates and stuff, and just trying to make like an indie version of I would say Roto World, but like, you know, something in between a Roto World or Roto Viz or whatever. Because like that's where my expertise is. Like I've done websites forever. I just don't know if it fits in 2025 now. Like I feel like you're better off just making a TikTok where I give fucking 1 minute hot takes and just trying to build that up. But I don't know what to do. Like the stuff that I enjoy does not vibe or does not jibe/vibe with the stuff that gets the most views and opportunity right now. And I don't think sites like RotoViz, like I don't think those make a lot of money now because I mean, other than people who've had memberships forever, it's like nobody reads articles. Like people just fucking it's like the concept situation is dire right now. According to Google AI, so yeah, that might not be the case. They might not actually own it. We got picks coming up here. And guys, if you're watching this live or after the fact, show some love if you can. Hit that like button, subscribe, goes a long way from here. Again, just one dude showing you my gambling on stream here. Of course, lucky to do it with partners like drafters that support me doing what I can in best ball. But really for you guys who are in the mix, show some love, hit the like button, subscribe, you know the deal, and join the Discord too. Jack Besh at this point, 45 spots after ADP, we can do it. I think we squeezed all the value we needed to out of Jack Besh. If he's going to go next to Ray McLeod, that's fine. And we got Michael Wilson here, who does technically correlate. So sure, more Arizona stacking. So we've now gotten to 7 receivers. The receiver room certainly a little late skewing. Hey, but Jack Besh was a top 120 pick for a couple months. So we got Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, JJ McCarthy at QB, Bucky Irving, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Isaac Garendo, Tank Bigsby. We are running into a bit of an RB cliff here. So adding one RB might have been logical, but the value on Besh and Michael Wilson, too, was a decent value while correlating with our QB. It was too much to pass up. Jefferson, Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, a lot of purple teams here. Adam Thielen, Jack Besh, Michael Wilson. And then a tight end, the elite tight end with Tre McBride, Zach Ertz right behind him. That could work with 2 tight ends. They're going to be skimming some shitty RBs and wide receivers in these last few rounds. Might still take a 3rd tight end as well. A little too much draft capital at QB, like I thought it would be. I think this depleted the RB room in particular, that 3rd QB. But the option besides that would have been having like Ramondre on my team. I don't think that matters. So Ramondre might be fine, but it's not going to make you feel like it's a different one. No one reads anything anymore is pretty bad. Why, though? People watching more than ever? No. People just watch things. They don't read things. That's society. That's the trend for everything, unfortunately. But then, part of it is like when nobody's reading anything anymore, sometimes you steer into that and then you create written content. You're competing with less people. Because back like Football Outsiders obviously have a lot of experience from running things there for a few years. Like there used to be like 10 to 15 sites like Football Outsiders, and now even the sites that lasted that were like Football Outsiders aren't even like it anymore. Like PFF barely does any articles. They'll do some, but it's like hardly any. Legendary Upside does some articles, but they're all paywalled. Your guys like Liam, not that that's like a real competitor, I would say in that same way. Like they're all paywalled, so doing something for free might be good to do at some point. But yeah. But I don't know. That's written versus video content. Very niche conversation. I appreciate that. I don't know. It's for RotoViz, like no respect to them, but like their YouTube channel like was one of the things that I looked at as like a comparison point for how my subs were going initially when I had to launch Splash Play without Pete. And like I passed RotoViz really early on. So like I just think I need to redo their media and stuff overall. Would be my guess. But no, again, no respect to them. It's just like that's the game we live in, unfortunately. A lot of media companies don't do YouTube well, and a lot of YouTubers don't do websites well. So that's the yin and yang of content. Thoughts on pairing Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell? I'd be more happy to pair Derrick Henry with one of them. Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell kind of competing for the same thing. But, if you don't have Derrick Henry on that team, you could do that. They're both basically free. So I'd be cool with it. But I would guess if Henry went down, they probably bring in somebody else. Like they wouldn't absorb the workload. It'd be one of those situations like a couple of years ago. I'd taken a lot of Naheem Hines the first year I maxed out BBM, and it hadn't ended up hitting the outcome where Jonathan Taylor got hurt. You know what happened was Nyheim Hines had one game. He got hurt in that game, then didn't play again. They brought in different guys who ended up getting the lead back role. Hines got traded. That happens more often than you realize at RB. So like Justice Hill wouldn't be guaranteed anything, I don't think. Even though like I think he's right now, you know, he's got a role. If Henry goes down, they're tearing that thing down into studs and probably, I don't know, signing Leonard Fournette, doing something stupid probably. All right, we've added some volume. Still think another RB would work here. And we take the shot at upside or the shot at projection here. I think Jerome Ford is going to be projectable to me. I think he's the kind of back that like will be appreciated in Cleveland because Dylan Sampson's not going to be ready for the hard stuff. I don't think Judkins is going to be as ready as he thinks he's going to be a 3-down back. So I think Ford still has an opportunity in Cleveland. I'm going to take him here with one pick. At tight end, you want to add a third? Really nothing that correlates. We don't have to do that. Ayumanor is a little bit of a tier break at receiver. You know, I take so much Alec Pierce. I will take a shot of AD Mitchell here in a round 19 on a 20-round draft. No correlation or anything, but again, I have so much Alec Pierce. If you have bets that are these sort of ambiguous bets, the guy's not guaranteed a role, trying to get similar amounts of the guys, even if I believe Alec Pierce is going to be the better play, I'll get more Alec Pierce, but I still want to get some AD Mitchell. There's opportunity for somebody to be a deep ball winner there. I think it's going to be Pierce, but could be AD Mitchell. Reading is dead. I think it'll transition to structured podcasts. Can't read at work and listen to something. There was actually something I was reading this morning about that. What the fuck? It was some article that was not related to football. But talking about the idea that basically like a lot of these companies that are being created now, a lot of the AI stuff is like summarizing things for different formats. Oh, it was like a LinkedIn post from somebody who had a company similar. But basically like they take all of your shit you're putting out, like email newsletters or whatever, and turn them into like a podcast instead with like an AI voice doing it. I don't know, that just means you're going to have more competition for that time that you listen as well. I don't know. Content just feels like it's fucked right now. I'm happy to like die on the ship of content here, especially of like niche content. But even with my NBA videos, it's like there's so few NBA Finals videos out there. And like because the same people are gambling on the NBA Finals, they probably don't even need content to tell them anything. Just like there's no views there to be had for me. Stochastic's video does like 1K or something for the NBA final stuff they've been doing. But like nobody's watching shit because like A, people aren't watching the finals. B, the people that are, you know, gambling on it already know what they're doing. There's just less views there. And that's kind of what I've been feeling with a lot of stuff. Like for best ball, like, yeah, Pete does great views. Davis Maddock does great views. Everybody else just kind of in a flat tier and depends on who you're booking as guests, what you're doing as effort. How long you're streaming for to kind of boost the views organically. But everybody's views are pretty flat besides like your top 1 or 2, 3 streamers, I would say. So that's kind of how I feel like a lot of different content's going. But anyway, this is our 2 hours and 15-minute in convo. But you know, it's what the show is, guys. We talk a lot about football. I get every take out. When you guys ask questions, I answer them all. Sometimes we got to wax poetic about the content business fucking going to shit. the money, or you know, frankly, all the content jobs just become like people doing ad stuff. Like my wife works at an agency, and she's a person that probably would have been a content creator if she had gone that path. But you know, she does strategy as a creative director. Like that's the other side of content. Anyway, last pick coming up here. Pick 240, Mr. Irrelevant in this drafters draft. But appreciate all you guys hanging out here. It is summer, so I do appreciate all you guys who do sit through this one for me and with me. And all you guys who did join the draft as well in drafters, given that we had to fill 2 rooms today. Appreciate all you guys and apologize to all you guys who couldn't get in the room correctly because I don't know what the fuck happened there. But, you know, as we always say here, that's showbiz. And you get no more glamorous in showbiz than this. Me sweating under a fucking hat that's probably giving me cancer. It's fucking pleather hat. It's just rotting into my brain every day during the summer months. Talking microplastics. Ooh, daddy. They're leaking into my scalp every day. Format is new. Nobody watched Underdog Gaming. It was cool 10 years ago. Or 15 years ago. Yeah, needs someone to change the game. I mean, gambling itself, I don't know. I think people like to watch people gamble. Like I know those casino streams do well. And maybe that's the thing is like you have to do it around the time, like around the clock, basically. Which kind of like what Davis did, where he's streaming like a Twitch streamer, basically streaming for like 5-hour shifts. It's hard to. Somebody's done 8-hour marathon streams. It's hard to talk, hard to fill that much time with actual valuable info. Like watch people gamble huge money. Oh, well. Hopefully these $20 drafters entries count. All right, we got one more pick to make here. Tight end is dog shit. Noah Gray's here, though. It's not a bad click. Elijah Moore, not an awful click to me, though he's not correlated. But honestly, the receiver room, I did starve quite a bit. I'll try to survive off Ertz and McBride. I'll go Elijah Moore. So the final team here is a 3692 on drafters. And again, appreciate all you guys who hung out with me this entire stream. We got Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, JJ McCarthy at QB, RB, Bucky Irving, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Isaac Guerrero, Tank Bigsby, and Jerome Ford. So Bucky probably made me feel a little more comfortable about this RB room than I should. If Bucky gets hurt, this team is going to be real dog shit and not going to win on drafters. But that's fine. Bucky's really the bet here. Wide receiver, we got Justin Jefferson, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen, Jack Besh. Big value on Besh. I've not seen him go at 191. Frankly, that's the price tag. Like Jack Besh is a less athletic. I had to bury my guy from last year, but like Jack Besh right now is a less athletic Troy Franklin. Like he's not going to beat out the guys that are there because of the situation he's in. It's basically how I feel about Jack Besh, and maybe he'll catch his 50-yard touchdown in the playoffs. Though Vegas is not going to make the playoffs. Adonai Mitchell rounds out this room. Elijah Moore. He's not Eli. Elijah Moore rounds out this room as well. So really good up top, kind of shitty in the back half. Receiver is the main point. At tight end, Trey McBride, elite tight end. I'll never question that in my builds. Zach Ertz, another one at pick 170. He's too cheap. Ben Sinnott, maybe he gets there this year. A boy after last year. I don't see how that happens. And that's my team here. Team number 19 on drafters. So I appreciate all you guys hanging out. Frankly, I feel like I could do one more draft, but I'm going to call it here so that it's a nice palatable podcast for those of you guys who listen on the road as well. But I do really appreciate all you guys who hang out with me. At this point in the show, I feel like we've lost a lot of people who weren't really part of the community. You guys who watch now, you guys are the ride or dies, and I do appreciate you all who hang out here, who ask good questions. Give me your takes. I'm happy to hear them, and I do appreciate you guys who draft on drafters as well. So please make sure to do that as well. Go to drafters.com, promo code SPLASH on there, $100 deposit match. It does support the show directly. I get an affiliate fee for it, but also the main thing here is you get to draft me on stream. You get to check out a site for yourself that'll win you more money. I myself finished top 10 in playoff best ball last year, doing only 3 drafts on stream. A couple years ago, put 30 drafts into drafters, also finished top 100 in the same big tournament I'm doing on stream right now. You can win money on drafters in a big way. We saw 7%, or I guess like 5% chance higher of, or 5x, I guess higher chance rather. That's a better way to say that, to win that big money on drafters, even though it seems, like the other sites are more fun. Play on all the sites, but I would really recommend try to get some action in on the little drafters that could. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the channel at Splash Play Pod. Join the channel as well if you want to get into the Discord. $5 to join, and really the more of you, the merrier on there. We've built a nice community. Really happy to talk with the guys in the Splash Play Discord, and that's what we're hoping to keep it. I don't want a 5,000 person Discord. I'd love to have a great 500 person Discord max. I don't know. I mean, look, if people are going to pay me money, it could be 4,000. But but I would like it to be small so I can actually engage and it can be meaningful and actually know what you guys are about. So we're getting in our Discord right now. So check it, join, do all that stuff, and gamble responsibly, guys. Even though it is always money time here on this channel. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your weekends. Good luck. And here's Daffy Duck masturbating. I feel like I have to click a GIF sometimes. But I appreciate all y'all. See you soon. And goodbye. Maybe Sunday for NBA on the Splash Play Bets channel. So watch out for that. But enjoy your weekends, guys. Bye.